Good evening, Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday, the hot of hot, and it is the 21st, the longest day, the warmest day. It had to do it in two. Let me know if you can see and or hear me. Would very much appreciate that. We haven't got the lights on, the windows are open. It's 30 degrees Celsius in here. I'm baking, so do bear with. Let's see if you can actually...
I quite like standing here and getting the proper breeze.
Perfect, excellent, all good, excellent. Riley says, Mike, you're golden brown, cooked to perfection. Yeah, I do feel like a roast turkey today. See, is the overhead working? Yeah, that seems fine.
And the disc people with.
Stream desktop, yeah, that seems to be working.
Hint, hint.
And the disco ball is working. So thank you very much to Mick Woods for the super chat, which was, there we go, £10 super chat. Thank you very much, Mick, much appreciated. It says, good evening all. Hope you're keeping cool. No. Chilled and Doombar seems to do the trick here. Oh, Doombar, chilled. If only. That would be fantastic. So, yes, it's very hot. I've got my my cold spray, so
Not near my iPad.
I can spritz myself periodically to keep myself cool. It is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Rick H sent us a $2 super chat as well. Disco, disco, disco. Thank you very much, Rick. Much appreciated.
Can't really see it too well.
Is that working? That isn't working, is it? Oh, I know why it's not working. Sorry, I have to fix something in a moment. Where are we? I knew I forgot something. Let's get that key there. Copy that. Oh dear. Chat. And Control V. Okay. And hopefully that is going to work now. Come on, work. There we go, it's working. Thank goodness.
Charles Ballard said, I just saw that Mike's Unboxing on Rumble has 47 subscribers. I think we can do better than that.
Yeah, come on guys. If you haven't already, drop us a like over on Rumble and maybe even follow us as well. Why is that not working now? There's like this ridiculous delay. Something bad is happening. Did I press that? Okay.
Clary's in.
Oh, it's working in the chat, obviously. Hello, Mr. Holzman. How are you doing? Hopefully you're cooler than us. It's absolutely horrendous here. Just hope I don't do the wrong spray. I've got some cleaning spray there. That would be a disaster. I Wolfman says, what is Rumble? Rumble is an alternate streaming and video platform. And due to the problems we've had recently with YouTube, we thought we'll kind of spread our bets a little bit. So our videos are being now released on Rumble and also on YouTube. So they go out actually first on Rumble, generally. Then that isn't always going to be the case. We will do it so that it's going to be the same on both platforms. But for now, to try and get a few more viewers in, a few more followers, we're actually releasing the newest content over on Rumble. So if you want to follow us there, you're more than welcome to do so. It's a platform which is still very much in its infancy, so do bear with it. It's not quite as slick as YouTube, but it seems to work very well. We've uploaded a lot of content there and we're getting a few views, so yeah, hopefully that will continue. Lee says turn it on, off and on again. That's not a bad idea. Kerry Osmond says, reminds me of Moss with his hot air that he would spray on in the IT crowd. I do think I remember that actually, yeah.
Don't mix it with white vinegar or you're sunburn or even more. But doesn't
that's true,
apple
yeah.
cider vinegar help with sunburn?
Kerry Osmond says, video ended. Ended? The video's ended? It keeps on coming up with a warning on here on the dashboard saying that the streaming bitrate is too low. Oh dear. I thought I was planning on streaming in 4K, but it wouldn't let me do it for some bizarre reason. So let's go into video, output, and let's see if I can up that a bit. Let's up that to 6 megabytes. Apply. That should be better. It always goes higher anyway. Who cares? Right, it's warm. It's very warm. Extremely very warm. We Wolfman says now I'm following one person on Rumble. Excellent. There is going to be other creators on there that you know and love that are on there. I think they're well.
We're also on Odyssey.
Yeah, Mike from Ultimate Tech Hub. He's on Rumble. He's not uploading much on there at the moment. Also, my computer guy. I think he was umming about doing it as well. And I think the more people that do it, it would be great. It's always nice to have an alternative platform for streaming and watching content. And yeah, if anything happens to YouTube, then at least we've got Rumble. So if for some reason you can't find our live stream on a Saturday night, then head over to Rumble. We'll probably let you know in the Discord or try and let you know some other means. It's always difficult to stay in touch with viewers. So general rule of thumb, if you don't see us on a Saturday night at 8:15 UK time, and we're not on YouTube, take a look over on Rumble. We might be over on there. STSNC says, good idea, diversification. Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's we can't afford to kind of have our own hosted platform because that's just incredibly expensive and difficult to do, especially if you're kind of like a mum and pop type store like we are. So yeah, we don't have the resources to be able to do that. So yeah, it's nice. We're also over on Odyssey as well, which we used to post to all the time. I don't think we post there anymore, do we?
No,
There used to be. Oh yeah, YouTube stopped it. So it used to be so that if you uploaded onto YouTube, it would automatically upload to Odyssey as well. But that's all disappeared as well. That YouTube blocked that happening. So yeah, YouTube being YouTube.
On there as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, Odyssey actually had quite a few. There was Hardware Unboxed, Jay's 2 Cents, I think was on there at one point. A couple of other sort of higher tier tech content creators. I'm trying to think who else there was. There was a few on Odyssey. Greg says it's a lovely 25C here with smoke from the forest fires up in North Manitoba. If I pronounce that right, this chair is really broken. Either that or I'm too heavy. One of the two.
And the bed mattress.
Inner Bird Accent says, do you own any wireless headphones like XM4s, Momentum 4S, etc.? No. I generally steer away from wireless headphones. I've got, I think, 2 sets here, which have been kind of gifted to me. So I've got the, what are they? I can't remember the names of them, but I have got some noise cancelling wireless headphones for kind of emergency purposes, but we very, very rarely use them. Rasher says, have you not got a fan on mic? No. We have got a ceiling fan, but it doesn't particularly help. The temperature at the moment keeps on flickering between 29.9 and 30 Celsius, which is very warm. And the humidity is only 53%, which seems low. It feels warmer than that. But anyway. Iroffman says you need to do a new chair review. I've actually got a really nice chair just there, but we're so limited on space here, I cannot fit a gaming desk chair in this space. So that is why we don't do it.
Or if you do, I can't move out of my desk. I can't get out of my desk out of the room.
Actually, what am I straining to see this? I could just pull it closer. That would be easier, wouldn't it? Viali says, we'll always go to YouTube first, but that will change if YouTube keeps getting worse. Still don't get ads, though. Our Portier says, I'm sweating profusely, even having to take a cold shower quickly. I'm stuck to my office chair. I know, we're not... Obviously, other places around the world are used to temperatures of certain degrees, like 30 degrees is pretty normal. If you're in places like Arizona, obviously 30 is kind of like just another day at the office. But for us here in the UK, where we're used to temperatures between kind of 10 to 20 degrees Celsius.
And then it jumps up 10 degrees.
At a push. Most of the year it's kind of somewhere between 5 and 15. So when it goes up to like 30, it's a bit of a shock to the system. It's like when you go on holiday for the first time.
It always jumps about 10 degrees up for about 3 days. You just get used to it, then it jumps down.
Yeah, we always get that. It's a 10-degree jump. So kind of in the 20s, and it's like, yeah, this is kind of nice. Then all of a sudden, boom, it goes into the 20s, and it's like, right, I need to acclimatise to this. You acclimatise to it, and then snap your fingers, and the British weather changes again, and it gets really cold, and you're like, oh my God, it's freezing.
Hello, you two.
Very strange. Wolfman says all the US have AC. Yeah, we could do with it.
We have got a portable one, but it's too heavy to keep moving around.
Yeah, Irie Wolfman says all the Americans in the UK, or where Irie Wolfman is saying it's too warm. And there's Aletta. How you doing, Aletta?
David.
There's little Dave making an appearance. How you doing, Dave?
He's looking at his brother. Oh, wow, look
Where's
at
your
him
mouse
now.
gone? There it is. John David Sullivan says my wife's at home in China. It's high 30s to 40s. I remember about 2 summers ago we had 40 degrees here in the UK, and it was
Oh, for
it was
Christ's
quite
sake.
oppressive.
Sorry. Cat's just attacking me through a door. Chucking a door at me.
That's better. The sun's gone down behind the buildings to the back of us now, so it's going to get better. But it is warm.
You used to hate that dairy, now you love it.
Yeah. Bear with this. George is just helping himself to ice cubes from the freezer.
You don't worry about us streaming, don't worry.
Yeah. You done? I think he's done. Dave Aitkins in the house. How you doing, Dave? Oh, that's nice when there's a gust of wind with the moisture. It's very nice. Anyway, excuse me. Tonight's stream, we will be taking a look at what I think is possibly the best value fish tank style case on the market at the moment. It is the Lian Li Vector V100R or V100W. So there's 2 versions. There's a black version and a white version. The W version obviously is the white version. The R version is the black one for some reason. Maybe it's supposed to be a B, but they got confused and put an R. Who knows? Lian Li is a very strange company at times. Anyway, we'll be taking a look at that. I'm going to wait until the temperature drops a little bit and the sun's gone completely. We can get the studio lights on without melting down. I think that is a prudent thing to do. Also, some other things we've done this week. Finally got an iPad after many, many years of Kath wanting one and me basically not getting one. Got her the new iPad, the iPad A16. This thing's filthy already. Anyway,
It's
so
in the kitchen when I've been working.
she's been using it in the kitchen. Kath will be using that hopefully as time goes on. We'll get that set up so she can answer your questions and also do the super chat notifications and all that kind of stuff. That is a work in progress. It only arrived yesterday or day before, so you will. You'll do as you're told.
I'm going to be logged in as me on there.
Anyway, I should send it back.
No.
No. It's actually quite good. And I'm very pleased, or I will be pleased, when the iOS 26 comes out, when it's officially released. You can actually use the iPad as a... Shut up.
I don't update.
You'll update. You'll do as you're told. I'm putting my foot down. You update to iOS 26 and basically it becomes a MacBook. So you can do all the window resizing. Essentially, it runs iOS. No, not iOS. macOS. It basically turns itself into basically a laptop replacement for what is actually a pretty reasonable price. Now, at the moment, the iPad A16, 11th gen, with 128 gigs of storage. I'm not too sure how much RAM's in it, actually. No idea. 11-inch screen, looking at £309 here in the UK at the moment, which has been reduced. I think when it originally came out, it was like 400 or 369 or something. So it's down to a pretty low price. I don't think it's going to get much cheaper than that, although saying that there have been some eBay sellers selling them for $293 plus postage, which takes up to like 300. So from Amazon for an extra £10. Realistically, you can't go wrong buying from Amazon. I know people are going to say, oh, Amazon, big bad company, but when it comes to returns and warranties and stuff, Amazon are excellent. They genuinely are, especially for anything which is shipped by them, or FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. If you're buying from third-party sellers on Amazon, obviously you have to take the your own risks. So if you buy a product and it says it's coming from, like, for instance, Scan UK, you have Scan UK's warranty. You don't have the Amazon warranty as such, especially after the first 30 days. So do bear that in mind. If you're using Amazon for your shopping, try and make sure you're buying from Amazon directly. Generally, it will be the cheaper price. Generally, that isn't always the case, but normally it will be. And you do get a much better warranty. We've had many stories where people have bought things from Amazon, maybe a power supply, and it's been missing a lead, and they've just said, right, just dispose of it, we'll send you another, or dispose of it, we'll refund it. And then you can just go and buy yourself another cable if you really wanted to. It can be as good as that, and quite often they've let people keep things which have got very minor faults or offered substantial discounts or an Amazon voucher in exchange. So potentially you can get some good deals on Amazon. Yes.
Don't rely on the next day service.
Yeah, Amazon next day delivery is very hit and miss. I ordered 2 power pack plugs yesterday for delivery today, and it said next day delivery.
Until you put it in
Soon as it had gone through the checkout, it said it'll be with you on Sunday. It's like, that's not ideal. Anyway, so there you go. Deathstroke says, why does it jump from 18 to 26? What's that? In iOS. Right, they've decided now, because all the versions of iPad OS, Watch OS, Mac OS, etc., even for the TV box, they've all got kind of slightly different version numbers. So what they're doing now is to try and make it so it's more cohesive or a little bit easier to understand. Essentially, the operating system version will be relational to the year.
So why is it 26?
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be out until the end of the year, effectively, but they brought it out early. So yeah, Mac OS 26 or Watch OS 26 or iOS 26 will effectively be the iOS version for 2026. Now, obviously, there's going to be some overlaps, much like there was with Windows 95. Obviously, Windows 95 went into 96, 97, and then we got Windows 98. So there will be obviously some overlaps, but they're going to try and make it so that when they do their yearly updates, they will reflect either the year that they were in or the year we're about to go into, just to give people a slightly better idea and make it a little bit more easy to understand, so you can know that all your devices are on the right version for the year that we're in, which I think is a good thing. And for those of you that haven't seen it, macOS 26, other than the glass effect, which I don't like, it's a great operating system. It really is. And the way that they've made the iPad from being basically a large phone into being a genuine laptop replacement option, I think is brilliant. It's something which Apple always said they wouldn't do, because it will basically cannibalize sales of the MacBooks. But I think they've realized that there is a big price difference between an iPad and a MacBook.
Somebody's saying no audio, but I don't think it's any noise.
I think the audio is good. So yeah, I think they've made a really good decision. I can see these relatively inexpensive kind of £300 tablets becoming the go-to for a lot of people, because you've got so many options there. And again, if you're using it as a combination device for taking notes, you're also using it for productivity, you're using it for playing games, doing work, answering emails, creating content, all that kind of stuff, to be able to do it on one device is actually pretty sick. And the battery lasts what seems like forever. And it's yeah, it seems to, well, it's very convenient. It's a very small form factor. You can stick it in your bag. Some of you, if you've got a big enough butt, you could stick it in your pocket. Yeah, it depends on the size of the butt, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty good.
That'd be bigger than both cheeks.
Although the let's see if I get this right. Can I get that right?
Yeah, it doesn't
there we
sit
go.
very well. It slides down it a bit.
With the folio cover only costs like about £8, £9, so that's pretty nice. So you can use it as a kind of like a normal display and just watch your movies, have it off to the side, get your cooking instructions or whatever you want to do. I do like it, and it does remind me a lot of the Surface Pro, Microsoft Surface Pro, which was my favourite laptop basically of all time. It was a great piece of kit. Unfortunately, it got to the point where it just became increasingly more expensive and, again, pretty much impossible to upgrade. These are as well, but yeah, for the money, for £300,
Is that an iPad Pro?
I think these are an absolute cracking deal. No, it's not an iPad Pro, it's just the A16. So the iPad Pro has got the M3 chip or M4 chip. M3, I think, at the moment. M4? I don't know. One of those. Anyway, so Alexa says, is there a link to your Rumble channel? Yes, there certainly is. And I will put that in the chat for you. And if you want to follow us on Rumble, I would very much appreciate it. We're trying to get to 100 followers on Rumble. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe or to become a member. It's just the same as YouTube. So if you want to keep up to date on our content, just click on the button there and then we'll appear in your feed, and you can have it so your feed is very, very minimal. So it's just your channels that you subscribe to, which is excellent, whereas YouTube obviously try to push essentially everything that they want to at you. Again, it's not a perfect platform. There's a lot of things going for it. There's a lot of things going against it, but it is an alternative. And again, for us as content creators, basically trying to make a living on or through online distribution of content, having multiple outlets is certainly helpful, or potentially could be.
Rick H is a new member.
Thank you, Rich. Rick, sorry.
Dave
Dave Aiken, love iPads. My 2029 iPad Air is still going strong 6 years later. Great screen, good design, simple OS. Never once had an issue with it. Will upgrade immediately when it dies. Yeah, I think... Flames falling out the window now. I think as well, with the macOS 26 or iPadOS 26, it is a complete game changer. You can use the iPad with a keyboard and mouse as you would normally. You can have all of your iOS or macOS things on there.
That's you and George.
Right. Kath's just showing a picture there of Welly Bob's house. What have I got on my head?
That's just the red glow.
Is it? Wow. That is a saturated image. Or do I look like that? That's worried me. Anyway, there you go. Roderick Kennedy says, Rumbled. Thank you very much for following us, all of those that do. So anyway, we'll be taking a look at the computer case very shortly. Sorry, I'm really struggling. It is so hot here. I'm really not used to it. But it is 29.8 degrees. So we've lost 1/10 of a degree. And I'm starting to feel the cold breeze coming in. It's very good. Aletta says, I'll have to sign up to Rumble after the stream. Awesome. Thank you very much. Happy days. So, yeah, I'm going to attempt to attach a screen protector to this tablet because I haven't done it yet, which I guess I should do. And I think I should turn this off first of all. If I can find the button.
It's the point where you don't expect it.
Where is it? It is somewhere. Oh, it's on the top, isn't it? That's the thing with these things. They auto-rotate, don't they? So if I press and hold it, will that turn off? No, it'll bring up Siri. How do you turn these damn things off?
Okay, I found.
Oh, it's the down button, isn't it? Oh, come on. Nope, that's a camera.
It's on a little red.
Oh my god. Press and hold. There we go. Slide to power off. There we go. Technology. I was never very good at tech stuff. So we have got some screen protectors. These actually come as a pack of 2. I was surprised because this is obviously a much bigger screen than your traditional phone. So basically it's 3 screens wide. And these normally a pack of 2 for the iPhone, normally sort of £8–9 for 3 screen protectors. Whereas these were £8 for 2. So it's effectively like 6 in terms of size anyway. So yeah, these are from Glass Pro, premium tempered glass. I didn't think you could get tempered glass screen protectors for iPads. I thought it would be too big. I thought it would be one of those horrible like films that you can put over the top. So yeah, I'm reasonably impressed with that. And I was expecting it to be a lot more expensive. So again, another little Amazon doohickey, which did very well. Let's open that up and we'll have a look. O'Reilly says you need top and volume up. Yes, I got it now. Why can't they just have a power button, which is a power button? Right, I need something to clean the screen with. I have some special screen cleaning equipment in my box of tricks down here. And a microfiber, which is probably full of dust. The worst thing about attaching screen protectors is getting dust and stuff on the actual screen. So hopefully it comes with one of those little cleaning pads so you can go over it.
Stuff is finished.
What's Sorry, Viali. Right, how clean are we? At least we got 2 of these screen protectors, so it can I can do one wrong. That isn't the way to look at it, but so that looks pretty good. You should never do this on a live stream because it's generally a bad idea. Trying to break it, putting it on. So we do have a kit for cleaning, so we'll give that a go as well because we want to give it a fair crack at a whip. Charles Ballar says, Mike Cath requesting permission to paste a link to my Rumble account. Yeah, feel free. You don't mind, do you, Cath?
No, why would I?
Cath's in charge. She's the boss.
I'm not the boss.
So wet, wet,
update my
wet.
iPad because I've been told to.
Yeah, you update when you're told to. It's very important. You've got to keep updating these days because there's lots of security nasties out there, allegedly.
It's worse when you've updated. Everything gets worse. It loses all your auto stuff you put in. You've got to type more. It all goes horrible.
Oh, this looks bad.
They give you a few emojis to make up for it. What do you mean
Yeah.
bad?
Have you turned off Apple Intelligence on this yet?
I don't know.
Did you know if you turn off Apple Intelligence on your devices, you can reclaim up to 7.5 gigabytes of storage space? Which, considering how much Apple charge for storage space, I think is very worth doing. Oh yeah, look at that. That's coming up really nice.
I could do a massage.
I saw cat hair then. Okay, we're looking good, he says. Right, let's do the overhead camera thing.
Our Wolfman, I can imagine Mike outside his shorts got a hanky on his head. No, it's a cold pack from the freezer.
I did have a cold pack on my head earlier from the freezer.
Not on a wedding night, it was a packet of frozen peas.
I had frozen peas on my head on our wedding night, yeah. Right, there should be some sticky bits here. I don't understand how the sticky bits work. They're like, supposed to be guide stickers, but I don't understand how they work. Does anybody else use the guide stickers?
I think it's so you just don't touch it.
Dust absorber guide sticker. So no, you're supposed to stick them on.
So you don't touch it with your fingers.
No, but I don't understand. It says guide sticker, but where do you put a guide sticker?
Anywhere, so you don't touch the thing in it.
I'm getting dust on this screen. There's dust coming in from the windows.
Got to go in a steamy room.
Right, let's just do this. I'll get loads of static in this now. Try not to touch it. And I'm guessing there is a cutout there so you don't get the camera.
You can get the camera, I'll put a bit of tape on that anyway.
I think we're good. Oh, there's a bit of air bubble underneath it. Let's pull it back out a bit. Okay, it's going. I'm going to drop it. Oh, sod it, I'll just drop it. Can you see that going up through the screen? I don't think there's anything under there.
Yeah, you can.
I think we've done good. Is it going to go all the way without showing any little marks? Please. Oh, there is a couple of little marks. Oh, no, we're good. There, that worked incredibly well. And we'll give that a little wipe over just to make sure it's in place. Oh, there's a little bit of a smudge there. Oh no, that is... I think we're good. Let's turn it on. How long have we got to press the hub button to turn it on?
I bet there will be one little bastard of a particle caught underneath there. Always like.
Yeah. Ah, there we go.
I think my phone's alright that you did.
I think we're okay. I think we've done a pretty good job on that. I think there's a very small little mark just there. But other than that, I think that is that's a job well done. Is that a camera a bit? No, that's fine. Anyway, that works. Happy days. There you go, Kath. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Right, now I'll put this in the cupboard of other things which I bought which I'll never use again.
I'm buying new ones when
Yeah.
you can't find
You know what it's like, you always get to the point where you're like, well, I can't find my screen protectors, I'll just buy another set. And then you buy another set and then you put them away and you find them in the same place as the previous ones. Right, let's get rid of all this stuff. Lots of stuff to go into the recycling there. Not. Right, let's close that window a little bit. Actually, no, right. We're okay, we're okay. Right, I might have to have the light on now, I think it's getting a bit dark. Let's have one on for now. Okie dokie. Right, so there we go. Happy days, we've managed to achieve something today. If we do nothing today in this stream, oh, I just noticed, oh no, that's my screen cleaning cloth. I don't want that to get dirty. Stay. My mouse mat's getting dirty. Right, where are we going? Never remove it, it'll only get worse. Yeah. What about cat hairs? Yeah, that's a good point. There we go. People have been subscribing to Charles Ballard. Nick Barnes has missed a bit. Yeah, thank you.
It's not our anniversary.
It's not. No, it's not.
That was in February.
Hey, Skystalker, how you doing? Yeah, I think we did it well there. That worked quite well. I was quite surprised. I thought that was going to be horrendous, but it worked out all right.
You did have a lot of practice at the BBC putting screensavers
Yeah. When we worked at the BBC, almost, I would say each week, we would get, because we had a set of, I think, was it 3 or 4 iPads? I think it was 3 or, it was 4, wasn't it? 3 newer ones and 1 older one. And basically what they used to do is they used to give the iPads to the medics in the Casualty TV show to go on and have like an X-ray or patient data, and we would load up the files and put the graphics on, and they would bring it back to us because we were in charge of like keeping the stock all in some form of order. So at the end of the shoot, they'd come back to us, say, well, here's the iPads, here's the charger, here's the stuff.
They did.
Yeah, they didn't really, basically.
That's what they're meant to do.
On the last day of filming, they would finish and they'd be like, out the door, and we'd go into their like props area, go in there, and it's like, right, what have they left in
Wasn't
here?
it more
Oh, iPads,
Surfaces?
Phones, Surface Pros,
because they had
Surface RTs, or whatever they were.
that wouldn't mix and match, wouldn't
Yeah,
they?
oh,
One surface.
horrendous. Anyway, so yeah, they'd come back and you get in. It's like, oh, there's another damaged screen. So yeah, another screen protector. We do that on a very regular basis, and especially with the phones. Phone screen protectors all the time.
But didn't they?
And mostly for themselves. Like they
Didn't
go, oh,
they-
I just bought a phone. Can you put a screen protector on it for me? It's
Didn't
like,
they buy an iPad and put a hammer through it straight away for a scene? When
Yeah.
they could have just put a hammer through a screensaver.
yeah. Ridiculous. Anyway. Moving on. Cool Cat says, Mike, Dr. Evil is looking kind of shiny today. I know. It's super hot.
You are looking rather red now.
It's because it's hot. And I put the light on, so it's probably not helping much.
You don't look red in real life.
It's better.
George will not leave you alone. He still won't budge.
No. Oh, hello, George. Let's have a drink.
Oh, I love a grey cat.
There we go. So, anything interesting in the PC world this week? I can answer that. No, probably not. Some of you may have seen there was a video from Jay's 2 cents, which went out either today or yesterday about the NVIDIA driver. I really, really wish that Jay's 2 cents would research his videos before he puts them out. Mostly because of the reach that he's got. The amount of people that will watch that video and then go, oh yeah, I need to do that on my computer. And then wonder why their computer is running very badly. So we'll see in the chat if anybody else has noticed that. So to let you know, in case you're thinking of watching it and doing what it is, he's trying to beat a world record on Time Spy or whatever it is. I don't care.
Not that Lily Phillips one.
No. not a Lily Phillips record.
Bonnie Blue.
Bonnie Blue record, yeah. So he's basically trying to beat a record with a graphics card, basically trying to get the highest score possible. Now, if you're trying to get a record in certain titles, you can turn on resizable bar, and it works really well. But for most games, resizable bar is actually a horrendous thing to turn on, and it will make your game really laggy, really stuttery, and it's a very bad idea. So Jay did a video showing basically how to turn on resizable bar as a global setting in the NVIDIA driver. And you could just read through the comments in the chat, and it's like, this is very bad advice. Please don't do it. So if you're thinking of watching the video and you're not one of those people who reads the comments as well, just don't do it. Please don't do it. Sky says, what did Jay do? I saw the video, didn't watch it. Hopefully explain that for you. So yeah, turning on resizable bar on quite a few games actually degrades performance and makes it stutter like hell. So what the NVIDIA driver will do is it's kind of got like a whitelist. So games which actually will support it, it will enable it. But if you go into something like Time Spy or Fire Strike or whatever it is, Solar Bay, those types of things, the driver will automatically disable itself because it's generally not advised to have it on. But if you have it on, you will get an extra 1,000 points or so for higher end systems. So in terms of getting a great score, yes, but for it to be actually a good gaming experience, then probably not. So yeah, there you go. John David Sullivan says he's a bit tone deaf at times. Yeah. Aletta says it's been over a year since I've watched Jay. Arnold G says, oh, it's not good for all. No, it definitely isn't. So yeah, it's something. Yeah, Matthew Day says so. Rebar isn't always good. No, rebar. When resizable bar first was enabled in NVIDIA cards, quite a few of the channels actually did different videos showing which games improved and which games didn't. Generally, on the whole, most games will be kind of okay with it on, but there are a few outliers which they will get worse performance, either degraded by about 5 to 10%, or it'll just be a horrible laggy mess. So you'll pretty much know which games it is because you'll be playing it and it'll be like, well, this is horrible. Why is this not good? So yeah, there you go. Hopefully, with the amount of backlash the video's getting, he will do an updated video explaining why you should enable it and why you shouldn't enable it and why you should just leave the driver the heck alone. So yeah, hopefully he will explain that at some point. Yeah, Matthew says, except for Intel Arc or Battlemage, yes. If you have an Intel Arc card, then you really want to have resizable bar enabled. I think if you don't have it enabled, the driver will warn you whilst you're installing it that it's like, this is a bad idea. You really need to install this, or you need to have this turned on. Yeah, Iorphan says even Linus has gone mad with the Fire Engine with the theatre setup because we all want that. YouTube's becoming a really weird place. I know we've had some of our own particular experiences in the last couple of weeks, well, couple of months, I guess, where we've had a somewhat negative experience, which has left a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. But certainly, I find just going through my subscription feed, it's getting more and more weird. It's kind of like a constant barrage of tech news sites, which are all just reiterating the same stuff all over. It's almost becoming like the mainstream news, but kind of worse. So, yeah, I won't go into too much detail. So, yeah, tech news channels, I hate tech news channels, I really do. Like, if I want to know tech news, I'll probably just go to Google and just look at the headlines and get it all in like a couple of minutes, whereas otherwise, you're watching maybe 5 to 10 different YouTubers all basically saying exactly the same thing. And it got to be one of those niche little things. I think YouTube news channels, they are basically for people that haven't got any content. And it's like, right, what can we do so we actually remain relevant on the platform, but don't actually have to put any real work in? It's like, oh, we could just copy and paste this from somebody else's news. Yeah, I know a lot of channels have got a lot of followers and a lot of people do like that sort of thing. For me personally, I think it's a little bit of a time waste, especially there's the clickbaity ones where it's like, the new Ryzen 10,000 series will be destroying NVIDIA. It's like, well, clearly it won't. Because every single time there's a Radeon or AMD launch, it's always the same hype. This is going to be 50% faster and 100% cheaper and all this stuff. And you see these wild videos like week on week on week until actually closer to the release, and then it's like, oh, it's going to be 10% faster. It's like, yeah, we kind of knew that was going to happen, but that's always what happens, regardless of what these other channels tell you. It is becoming, it's just becoming worse and worse, and I think it's making people bored about tech. I liked YouTube when it was basically somewhere you went to find an answer to a problem, which is kind of why we did a lot of the stuff we do on our channel, like helpful things like how to do this or what graphics card to buy. Well, not what graphics card to buy, but you know, the kind of things like you're trying to do something on a computer, right? How do I do this? Or why can't this be done? Or how do I change this setting? Those are kind of videos which are useful because you go there, you get some information, you come away, you fix your own computer, and it's like, great, I've learned something, I fixed something, it's a great day. But this other stuff where it's just like, almost like just padding content, it's like YouTube's become like a 24/7 news channel, but with the same news every 24/7.
Isn't that a news channel still?
Yeah, it's basically a news channel, yeah. Yeah, iRolfman says AI and ray tracing killed tech. I think it kind of has. I think when ray tracing and when AI stuff started coming out, and I think it's mostly, the biggest one for me was DLSS. When DLSS came out and those frame or those screen scaling options or resizing options, when they came out, that for me was kind of like, okay, well, now that's the end. And it kind of holds true because the thing is now you can buy a very cheap, inexpensive 1080p graphics card and use frame scaling or whatever. As long as you don't mind looking at it and it being a bit blurry or a bit messy, you can still run basically any game you want at pretty much any resolution you want because the graphics driver will do it. Whereas previously, if you're using a 1080p monitor, you had a 1080p graphics card, you then bought yourself a 1440p monitor, my 1080p graphics card isn't quite cutting it. I need something a bit faster. So then you'd buy a graphics card which was for 1440p or potentially up to 4K. So you had that upgrade path. So you upgraded your monitor, you upgraded your graphics card. When you upgraded your graphics card, then it was like, well, maybe I need some more RAM or a faster processor. And the whole upgrade process went along. Whereas now, you can buy like a 3050, turn on DLSS, and you can still play whatever game you want at whatever resolution you want. It makes no difference. Yeah, the RAM might not be great and you might have to turn it down to low or medium settings, but essentially the necessity to upgrade your graphics card for your screen resolution or your desired screen resolution doesn't exist anymore. And when it comes to actually benchmarking graphics cards and working out which card you actually need, it's an absolute minefield. If you look back at old reviews, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, you would see there was a distinct thing. It was like 1080p, 1440p. Whereas now it's like 1080p, upscaled 1440p, ray tracing on, ray tracing off, DLSS on, FSR on. And it's like, oh, it's just a confusing mess. And mostly the graphics cards haven't really become any more powerful than their predecessors. They've just become vastly more expensive with a much bigger driver and much more flexibility, but no actual real technological advancements other than the ability to rescale your frames or to insert frames inside of frames to give the illusion of a faster graphics card. And for me, that's really boring because why not just buy an older graphics card and save money? It's bizarre. Anyway, I'm Matthew Day says, right, I just rumbled you. Awesome, thank you very much. Yeah.
Stroke said he's liked all your videos.
Oh, thank you, Deathstroke. Bless your hearts. You're all lovely people. Alexa says, I disagree. I love ChatGPT AI. It's the best brainstorming pal I've had for writing novels. Now, don't get me wrong. AI has its uses.
For cats videos.
For making cat videos, it's perfect. I've watched some videos today of cats diving at the Olympics. That was
And drinking hot chocolate and bacon.
bizarre. Charles Butler says, Mike's Unboxing on Rumble now has 55 followers. Woo! Paul Lamont did as well, so that's 56. I have used Google Gemini, and I used it, I've said this numerous times, I used it to make a code to run on our Discord to actually convert Amazon links into affiliate links to help us make an income. So yeah, that is brilliant, because I tried it before from various websites trying to learn the technology and the coding, and it was way above me. So having AI to kind of hold my hand and guide me through the process was absolutely phenomenal. So certainly I can see the advantages of it. Where I see the disadvantage is the fact that AI is very opaque in its nature.
Not looking
So
there, is it?
you kind of ask a question, and depending on how you word the question and also the AI you're using, your answer can be wildly different in terms of if it's not a straight black and white answer. And even actually sometimes if it is a black and white answer, you will still potentially get the wrong answer. So don't always take what comes out of the AI generated content as being gospel, because quite often it actually isn't. So you do have to bear that sort of thing in mind.
But you can reteach it, can't you? If it tells you wrong stuff, you can teach
Yeah.
it right stuff.
Well, it does. It's learning
So it's like
constantly
Wikipedia,
from us all.
really. It's just people update it, and it's their opinions.
Yeah, to some extent. So the language
So the majority.
models, or the large language models, basically learn from the input we give
Of the
it.
majority of people.
Yeah, it'll just go with the majority. So if the majority of people say the sky is green, then AI will eventually say, yeah, sky's green. Which also is a little bit worrying, because depending on what the majority think, AI is going to reinforce that and then teach that to other people. So it isn't a black and white thing, and it's not to be entirely trusted, but in certain instances, like say for instance summarizing a Word document, yeah, fantastic for that. But AI certainly has its limitations, and it has its failings, which if you've used AI enough times, then you'll notice that. I think it's still very much in its infancy, and I think the market, very much like crypto mining, it was one of those things, when crypto came out, it was like, it was in the sidelines for ages, then all of a sudden it hit a critical mass, and then it was just like the entire world was dominated by crypto market hype, people buying crypto mining machines. The bubble just expanded, it burst a little bit, and it's still a thing, but it's not big news anymore, whereas AI is kind of following in that trajectory. So it started off
Shoved at us at every opportunity.
it is everywhere. I try and turn it off on most of my devices. I choose to use it on my main computer by going to Google, the homepage. You got the 9 little squares in the top corner. Click on there, go to Gemini, ask a question. I don't want to have Copilot installed on my PC. I don't want to have any of that AI stuff on my my phone, because it takes up so much space and it's kind of pointless, because I can just go to Gemini. Must say, obviously, just use your AI of choice. Some are better than others. If you want to make images, then I think it's ChatGPT is possibly the better one for making images, and no doubt there's many others, but the one that I've seemed to get the most help from is Gemini, especially when it comes to asking questions like what is the price locally of a 3080 Ti, for instance, that sort of thing. Quite useful for that sort of thing, and it will bring up a better answer than generally Google will. Anyway, there
There
you
was
go.
a question earlier.
Yep.
I've lost it now.
Ah,
I think it's...
oh geez, does a 7800X3D have integrated video? ChatGPT said no. We actually had that, I think that was on our Discord, where somebody was trying to get their PC up and running. They couldn't get it running, and we said try it without the graphics card, and they said I can't because ChatGPT says it hasn't got onboard graphics. So clearly, yeah, there's things that it can learn.
904.
904.
Ray Thompson, sorry.
I haven't got timestamps. Why haven't I got timestamps? Oh, I can't get timestamps. What was it? Ray Thomas?
Thompson.
Ray Thompson.
That was my fault. I did say it wrong.
Ray Thompson. In your opinion, is X99 still viable in 2025? Ray, to be honest with you, I haven't found X99 viable in any year. If it's cheap and it's available and it does what you want it to do, then it's viable, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it. And I wouldn't have went out of my way to buy it when it came out. Nick Barnes sent us a super chat. Thank you very much, Nick Barnes. Is there a comment or question there? Thanks for ensuring Saturdays have great content, barring Apple stuff. Have a great week, Nick, Joe, and Molly. Thank you, Nick, Joe, and Molly. Much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, sorry if I've just been a little bit disrespectful to the X99 platform. My apologies, but the HEDTP whatever it is, those platforms have never been any real interest to me. Like X299, X99, any of those platforms, they've never really appealed to me. Now I know if you watch things like what's his name, Tech Yes City, then yeah, he's a very big advocate for it. But because you could buy a lot of the stuff cheap on like foreign sites like AliExpress, Alibaba, etc. So you'd get a lot for your money. Whereas now, I think the majority of people, you're better off maybe trying to get hold of like an older AM4 platform. That I feel is still very much a very good value platform. It has a lot of longevity in it still. And even this week, AMD have released yet another processor for it. At least I think it was this week. Was it last week? It might have been this week. The 5500X3D, which effectively is a 5800X3D, which didn't meet the right speeds. Very much like the 5700, the 50, whatever else the special edition was. Yeah, the 5500X3D is effectively a part that didn't reach the quality process for binning. So it's just, yeah, released cheaper, which makes sense.
Scott.
Alessa says, Copilot sucks donkey nads. Yes, I would agree with that. And Cortana. Cortana had potential, but was awful.
In Bristolian, what is she?
Cortana.
Cortano.
Cortano. Air, Cortano. Wake I up at 3 o'clock PM.
Scott above that.
Scott, hello Mike and Kath. I have watched your show after Kerry Holzman mentioned your channel. Finally caught a live stream. Thank you very much, Scott. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you enjoy it. It's basically, I've come to the realization that I'm basically Kerry Holzman's younger brother. We're both miserable old bastards. and quite opinionated. So yeah, if you like Kerry's stuff, then you probably like ours and vice versa.
Greg, 912.
Greg, do you get...
Timestamps on yet?
I haven't, I can't get them. I'll have to close the chat. Greg's asking, Mike, do you get a lot of use out of your 3D printer? I'll be honest with you, no. I get very, very little use out of it, which is actually quite a sad thing.
See if I can find...
There is a 3D ping pong ball, which I printed, which is outside, which the cats play with. I've created some graphics card risers. Those are pretty handy. What else did I do? A keyboard stand. Got my keyboard stand, which is up there, which I wanted it to be a graphics card stand, but it didn't kind of work out as intended. So it's more of a keyboard stand. So that's quite nice for a keyboard stand. I made that. Well, technically I didn't. I just pressed print and the printer made it from someone else's instructions. But you get the general idea. I was involved somewhere in the process.
You printed this?
I did print this. This is a catnip.
Careful, there's some in there.
Oh, is it? This is a catnip ball. So it's a screw together ball. It's got some catnip in there. And you've got two halves. And it has a thread, which actually works. And yeah, it's a catnip ball, which the cats do actually enjoy. So yeah, I've not really had any great use out of it. There's a load of things that I want to print, but it's having the time and also having the knowledge. Like, I wanted to print a 3D bracket to hold my power supply from my monitor on the wall. And I found one, and I need to resize it, but I need to measure it and stuff out. So there's loads of things I could do. I just haven't got around to doing it. I still haven't found a kind of a suitable permanent or semi-permanent place to actually keep the printer where it doesn't upset the cats, it isn't likely to get in the way, or isn't going to get covered in dust and dirt. So I am working on that. Potentially, I was considering putting it in the wall up here, just putting a shelf up on the wall where it's just dead space up there anyway. But then I was thinking, well, actually that's a pain in the ass, because if I'm filming videos and it's printing away, that's going to be really inconvenient. So it needs to be in another room.
Makes his eyes go crazy.
It does. Sorry. What did Arnold G say? I missed that. Oh, I don't think I did. Why is my scroll not working now? No, it works. I don't understand my life. Anyway, some of you may have noticed, or you may not have, because you don't care, but my Mac Mini is set up. It is over here. It was on my desk, but it got to the point where I was getting really peed off with it because I couldn't get the KVM to reliably switch to my monitor's resolution. Now it appears, as it would, that it is a Mac problem, but I don't think it entirely is, because when I was switching between the two, it would sometimes change the resolution of my Windows PC. So my monitor is a 1440p 160 hertz, or sorry, 165 hertz, and normally the KVM, I'd switch between the two and the Mac would recognize it, 1440p 165 hertz, switch over, PC would recognize it. But every now and then, every now and then it would just forget it and say, right, no, your monitor is 120 hertz, or it's only 1080p. And it's like, I tried numerous different cables, HDMI cables. I even went out and bought a bunch of new high-speed cables, thinking maybe it's a bandwidth problem. It wasn't. It was just some bug. Whereas I put it up here, I've got a 4K monitor there, and my KVM is just on the side, so I can press a button there and switch between the two PCs. I've also got it all piped into my other PC over there, so I can record content from either the streaming PC, which I use for doing the how-to videos, or I can use the Mac to make how-to videos, and all of it will be recorded externally over on my editing PC. So at the moment, it's basically the perfect setup. So that is why it's living over here currently. There you go.
Our Wolfman quickly.
Ira Wolfman. What did Ira Wolfman say? My son Theo is hearing, is here now watching. He says, hello Mike. He is 3. Hey Theo, how you doing?
He loses concentration if you don't hurry up.
Be good, otherwise your dad will make you watch me on a loop. And you don't want that. You really don't. So be a good boy for your dad. And if not, you'll be seeing a lot more of me. Alright? There you go. Hopefully that's a warning. RLG says the monitor EDID. I think that is a lot of the problem, the EDID, or like the device identifier. But yeah, it's just the way it's gone, unfortunately. So anyway, I've moved it here. It works much better for me. There's another super chat from our good friend, a long-term viewer as well, Glenn. How you doing, Glenn? Thank you very much for the 420 blazing. It feels a bit blazing actually at the moment. Thank you very much. Arnold G says it's Windows and the auto hover scroll. Okay. Yeah, Windows and iOS are both getting to the point where they're all just trying to do too much. They need to roll back and just go back to basics. Just be an operating system. You don't need to have all this other stuff built in. We can install other software if we need it. You don't need to have all this stuff baked in.
Oh, it took hours to get that iPad with all the crap off it.
Oh God, yeah.
Like bloody health and wallets. And, oh. N-shitification.
N-shitification.
I like that.
N-shitification does definitely need to be a word. I think that was coined as a phrase by Chris Titus of Chris Titus Tech Tips. And
Say
yeah,
that when you're pissed up.
N-shitification. Make good stuff worse. That has been a thing since arguably, I would say, probably the late 90s. We had stuff which was kind of okay. Like, we had CRT TVs and CRT monitors, which were great and would do like massive resolutions and didn't have flickery images and were, yeah, just fantastic. And then they brought out LCDs, which were lower power, but were like 600 by 800 or something stupid, and looked awful. Couldn't see them off axis, and they cost a fortune. It's like, yay, let's upgrade to a flat screen monitor and make our display worse somehow. And we did the same. We went from, what did we go from? We went from one TV to another, and it's like, this is actually worse.
Did it make all our heads all funny? Like make
Yeah.
them all look fat?
And we were in the 4:3 era when 16:9 was coming out, and it was like, yeah, let's get by 16:9 telly. And it was like, yep, this was a bad idea. Everything looks weird.
And then they started also filming in like a film kind of
Oh,
way
yeah,
or something,
yeah.
didn't they? Around the same time.
Rick H says, I'm going to try Windows 11 Enterprise version. Don't forget, if you do want to get it, you know where to get it from anyway, but I'll put the link in the chat. premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing, and don't forget to use Mike's Unboxing 10 as a discount code.
And we were doing our
And it's finally come up on there. There's such a lag.
receipts earlier, and it's £4.65.
Yeah, £4.65 you should pay for a Windows 10 Enterprise license. I'm not even sure if I can say that on the stream anymore, because the Enterprise video is the one that got us into the trouble.
So we better.
So, mum's the word. I don't want to upset YouTube again. Although, I don't know if that was what actually upset them. They don't tell us. You have no idea.
I've done videos on it.
Yeah, loads of other people have done videos on it. I wish they would say the actual segment of the video that is the problematic segment. Because that's all you need to know. You imagine, like, if you come home, you're in your house, your parents come home, you've been there for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden you get a clip round the ear hole. You're like, what's that for? Like, yeah, you know. It's like, well, no, I don't. What did I do? What did I do wrong? And they say, if you do it again, you get another clip round the ear, and if you do it again, you're out. You're like, well, do what? What did I actually do? They're like, you know. It's like, no, I still have absolutely no idea what the problem is, so I might do it again. But if you tell me what I actually did wrong, then I could potentially not do it again. Surely that is the sensible solution, but no. The more I think about that, the more it boils my blood, because it's just such a ridiculous thing that YouTube have got these rules and regulations in place which obviously don't apply equally to everybody, and if you ask what the actual issues are, they refuse to tell you point blank. It's weird.
So they can get rid of you, whatever they want.
Yeah.
Can't they?
I think what YouTube needs and what content creators need, we need a union. A content creators union, which is legally representative.
But unions
Of
would
YouTube.
tied in, and they'd be owned by YouTube anyway, wouldn't they?
They probably
That's
would
how
get
it usually
owned,
all
but
works.
I think it is something that we need, because like at the moment, if you have a disagreement with YouTube over something and you say, I disagree with what you've said, they just say, well, we've looked at it again and no, we're right.
But when you say they say, it's
So, well, you've looked at what? And you've told what? You still haven't told us what we did. Please tell us what we did wrong.
Same with Facebook, though, isn't it? They put down our Mike's Unboxing page.
Joe Barnes, hi Mike and Kath. Quick ask: would you say would you say HP laptop for law and college work is still a good choice? Starting to look very soon. Nick will tut though. To be honest with you, it's a bit of an open goal, that one, because yes, an HP laptop would be a good choice, but it depends on which one you go for. There's, like with anything, there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. My suggestion would be to do a little bit of research. Don't always go for the cheapest one. Now, I actually made a similar mistake myself a couple of years back, because I had a Acer, can't remember the model, Acer Aspire 5 I think it was, which was a nice little laptop. It was great, but someone come along and said, I need a laptop. What can you do for me? It's like, well, I got this one, I don't use it much. I do a deal on it, so I got rid of that, and then I thought, well, actually I need a laptop, so I'll replace it. So I just had a look for deals, and I saw one which was pretty cheap, which was the HP 245G8, I think it was. And I bought it, and on paper the specs looked excellent. It seemed to be easy to take apart and use and what have you. And actually, I've still got it here somewhere. If I, where is it? There we are. Still does get used occasionally. So this is the HP, I think it's 245 or 245 G8. And on paper, it's actually a great laptop. It's a 6-core, 12-thread, 16 gigs of RAM, nice screen. I think it's a 14-inch screen. Basically does everything you want to. It's quite power efficient. But the thing that really annoys me is it's got some really awful cooling. So that is the cooling on the bottom, and the actual fan is kind of somewhere over here. So it just cooks itself, which I actually did a video on how to keep the temperatures down on this particular model and other laptops as well, which was using a program called Chamomile, which actually works really well and keeps the temperatures really low. But yeah, I really wish I'd have researched this a little bit more and maybe got one with better cooling, because the cooling solutions isn't always something which is highlighted when you're looking at specs. You're looking at price, screen size, processor, storage, all that kind of stuff, like Wi-Fi technologies, those types of things. But yeah, the cooling solution is awful. The tiny little holes there on the bottom, just totally not suitable for the device. But when the fan isn't ramping up like crazy, it's really, really nice to use, but it does get quite noisy. And obviously, because there's not a great deal of depth, it can't really pull in much air, which is really unfortunate because the feet on the bottom aren't particularly large. So larger feet would help. The cooling solution needs to be a cross flow rather than one that picks up from the bottom. Using it on a bed or any kind of fabric surface is generally a bad idea. On a solid surface, glass, tabletops, etc., it's not too bad at all. There's a little bit more of a fighting chance of it actually breathing. So, yeah. It's hard to say. It is a tough decision. Personally, I think, as much as I like the Windows platform, I think if I was buying a tablet or a laptop now, I would probably look at a Mac. I hate to say it, I really do. But in terms of cooling, performance, value for money, longevity, usefulness, like even something like the iPad would be a brilliant thing, especially with that new macOS 26 on there and one of those folio wraparound keyboard mouse things. It's basically a computer and a touchscreen all in one for probably, with the keyboard and stuff, like 400 quid. So yeah, potentially that might be worth looking at. I don't know. Depends on what you're looking at using the laptop for. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Sometimes you can pick up some really good deals elsewhere. Actually, let me put that down because that was not being appreciated, was it? Stop it, Mike, says Jelly. I can't help it. I've got to say it as it is. I really have. And especially at that lower end of the market, like the £300 to £350 market is really tough in the actual laptop market. And the iPad, with the ability to use it as a Mac, does kind of edge it forward a little bit. And bizarrely, the A16 chip is quite powerful, so you can still use things like Final Cut Pro to do video editing on it, even though it's like an iPad. It's mad how powerful it's become. It's essentially, the A16 is the same chip as what is in the iPhone 16. Yeah, obviously because A16. Anyway, moving on. Aletta says, amazing how buzzed I can get with one bottle of Dragon's Milk, 11% alcohol, where most beers here are 3.2. Yeah, 3.2% for beers is really low, isn't it? That is the thing about American beers, isn't it? The alcohol levels are quite low. So you can have you can kind of drink all day almost with that. O'Reilly says, yeah, laptop cooling is very hit and miss. It very much is. 26.5 degrees. It's starting to feel chilly.
Yeah, Angel's just texted me saying, go outside, it's freezing now.
It's cold.
That's what this country is like.
Oh, it's lovely.
Boiling 1 minute and then freezing the next, and you're meant to be used to it.
It's better. I'm cooling down now.
Just don't get time to climatise, do you?
Just looking through the chat there. Greg M says, this is what I mentioned on Doug's Bets live stream yesterday when Doug insisted YouTube tells you where the offending issue is on YouTube, take it down. Oh, right. So Doug Betts says that YouTube does tell you where the offending bit is. They don't. Because I've had 2 videos. Yeah, they don't tell us. Well, we had 2 videos recently which YouTube were unhappy with. Neither one, even on appeal, did they mention the time, date, stamp, or even the content type. All it said is your content is deemed harmful or dangerous. So, yeah, I don't know. Alessa says, I don't know, I used to belong to a couple of unions. All they did was charge us union dues, not help us with anything. Now, that is the trouble. That is the trouble. Unions in the old days used to be quite powerful, but modern day unions are basically the tax man, which is a real shame. Riley says, could have done with some side or rear vents, especially since the battery is probably near the front of the laptop. Yes, it is, you're right. Domain 2000 says you should just adjust or straight disable aggressive turbo boost for all non-gaming laptops. That's essentially what Chamomile does. There's a toggle in it where you can turn it basically on or off. So it can either be in like high performance mode, or basically it'll limit the core to the general level of I think the non-boost speeds. And actually with Chamomile on, that thing runs like silently and very quietly, but it just feels a little bit slower. El Caste DDU, I've probably butchered that, says, hello Mike, how you doing?
Ale Castle, isn't it?
El Caste.
No, it's not Castle.
I can't pronounce things. Wolfman says, YouTube use AI to flag videos and no actual person checks them. Well, that's the thing. They do say that if you get like a YouTube strike or a content match or whatever, you can then appeal it. And then when you appeal it, allegedly, your channel manager or a human being, will actually do it. Now, this is actually what I find interesting, because when we got our second match, I sent an email saying, can you please review the footage? Like basically an appeal, saying I disagree. Can you watch the footage again? Because I don't feel that we've done anything wrong. Now the video, I'm sure, was 25 minutes long, if not longer. They replied within 15 minutes to say that they disagreed. So now potentially, don't get me wrong, now obviously that comes across as me sounding bitchy and that they couldn't possibly do it. Now obviously if they're watching YouTube videos, they're scanning through hundreds of videos, so potentially they are watching them at 2x or 3x speed, which they may lose the context for the videos in that instance because of the speed and time frame. You may miss out some certain elements, but potentially they could watch the video in a shorter time. My guess is they didn't, and they don't, but I don't know. And again, it's YouTube being YouTube. They don't tell you. There's no transparency whatsoever.
Even though
they claim that they look after YouTubers and they don't want us to burn out and they want us to be healthy and create good content, but they don't give you any help to actually do any of those things. And anything, it makes your health worse because you're worrying about what can you do next.
But that's my arm, not the chair. Well, since we've had 10,000 subs, they said they'd give us an account manager.
Yeah, they did say that. When we got to 10,000 subs, they said, oh, we'll assign you a YouTube account manager shortly. It's like,
if you had someone like that you could talk to about it,
yeah, that's
it'd
what
make more sense, wouldn't it? But we
that's all you need. You just need someone to be able to talk to and say, look, where did I go wrong? Like, in every other walk of life, pretty much, if you do something wrong, they will tell you, or you'll go to a disciplinary and they'll say, right, from this, this, and this, on this day, at this time, you spoke to X person and you said this. And then you get the chance to fight it or to say, okay, yeah, sorry, it's my mistake, I did that, I'm completely guilty. But you don't have that option, which I think is yeah, it's just a bad thing. It's a bad setup for a company. I appreciate that there's a certain limitation logistically that they can't always do that, but surely
email you and tell you they can.
even if the AI was doing the flagging, which apparently it is, the AI could give you a timestamp very easily, because the AI is scanning through it, looking for words or content matches or whatever. And it could say, like, at this part of your video you said such and such, quote, blah 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 blah, unquote, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Is like, right, okay, I said that. That is not allowed, or that is a derogatory thing, or whatever it is. But you know exactly what you've said. You know you shouldn't say it, or it was taken out of context how you said it or why you said it, and you've been banned. It's just bizarre.
But Scott said a lot of YouTubers have said they've had videos taken down in the last few weeks. So
yeah, my computer guy, he had one taken down a little while back, which was, I think, how to download Windows 7 after it has stopped being, like, Windows 7 obviously you cannot buy anymore. So he had a video showing how to download the ISO for Windows 7 so you can install it as a virtual machine on an older computer, which, if you've bought the license for it, surely you should be able to do that. But apparently no, because Windows 7 is no longer a supported Microsoft operating system, you are effectively condoning piracy because you cannot buy it. Even if you legally own it, and you have legally owned it, because it's no longer on sale, you cannot show a video how to download the ISO. Which I think is pretty much where our video went wrong, because we showed the Enterprise Edition of Windows. If we hadn't have showed where to download it from, even though it was Microsoft, if we hadn't have shown it, I think we'd have been absolutely fine with that entire video. But because we showed how to get the ISO, that was the bit where they didn't like it.
He's keeping an eye on you.
Even though it's a completely legal way of doing it. And also, if it wasn't able to do it, then why the hell would Microsoft not block it? It's bizarre. Anyway. Viali says, the thing is, Mike, you never say anything wrong. Well, I do. I'm sure you're saying that very much tongue-in-cheek. I know for a fact, 100%, I've said things in videos which have been incorrect. Definitely have at some point or other. And it would be absolutely ridiculous to me to even think that I'm infallible in some way, shape or form, because I do make a lot of mistakes in videos. And I know that, and I admit it. And if someone comes to me back after in a video and say, Mike, you said such and such, or like, this has 2 NVMe slots, but only one of them runs at full speed or whatever. And it's like, yeah, my mistake. I've seen a lot of boards. I looked at a lot of specs. Unfortunately, in this instance, yes, I have made a mistake. My apologies. That's all you can do. And that's what I would say to YouTube if they told us what we actually did. But they don't. It's bizarre. Ordinary Dude says, creators need to make a dedicated video every time YouTube does this without explanation. Basically, make content that you can get paid for pointing out their incompetency. Now, that is it's a difficult thing to do. So, if they're in their documentation, if you have a strike or something like that on your channel, technically, if you make a video on that strike, or you feel that YouTube has in some way kind of done you wrong, if you make a dedicated video on it, that is against the terms and conditions of your YouTube channel in general. Now, you can do, like we're doing now, we can discuss it, we can have opinions, but if I made a dedicated video purely titled YouTube did this to me and they're wrong or whatever, then potentially they could take that as a second strike on your channel, because you're not meant to do that. It's, if you've got a problem, you go through the grievance process, which kind of doesn't exist, but you can do that. Yeah, it's just bizarre. So effectively now, for the next 90 days, or from, well, it's less than 90 now, but basically for the next 3 months, I won't be making any content on how to do anything with Windows in terms of downloading, licensing, most tweaks and stuff. I won't be doing it. Like how to avoid TPM 2.0 for older computers. I daren't make the video because just the fact of using Rufus to remove the TPM and also the secure boot requirements for Windows technically is harmful content because you're removing a security protocol from an operating system, which you shouldn't do. So I know other channels have done it, but we're in a position now where we're on thin ice. So it actually restricts the type of content we can make. Now, personally, in my own mind, I probably wouldn't make a Windows 11 installation media for unsupported hardware because I just don't think it's worth it. If you're going to go for Windows 11, you might as well just use the hardware that it recommends, or stick with Windows 10. Those are your options, or go to Linux or whatever else. So yeah, it's an awkward thing, and showing downloading stuff or anything like that now is just really kind of like, I don't know whether I should do it. It puts you in a really awkward position. Whereas I used to just love, like, great, this is a new thing we can do with Windows. Let's make a video on it so people can find out about it. But now it's like, okay, but what are the ramifications now of making those videos? So it really does like sour what you can do. And if you get another strike within your 90 days of getting your first strike, then you can't do anything for 6 months. So that would be like a disaster. So got to be really careful now. It's stupid, really. Yeah, eventually Microsoft will tell YouTube to block vids with TPM bypass. I don't think they are, potentially, but I know people that have done videos on ad blocker. Now, making an ad blocker video is definitely 100% against the terms of service for your YouTube channel. But I know there's thousands of videos out there that people have done on things like uBlock Origin, all that kind of stuff. But you're not allowed to do it. It's against the terms of service to show anybody how to get around the way that YouTube makes money on the platform. For obvious reasons, it's their platform. But yeah, it's not like, if I made a video on it, because they're now probably keeping an eye on what we do, it would be flagged. Whereas there's hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of other videos out there on YouTube showing how to block ads in YouTube, and they'll never hear anything. So it's like, it's the unfairness of it all, the kind of like, well, it's one rule for that person, one rule for this person. It's not like a global thing, even though in their wording it appears that it is, but it certainly isn't. It seems to be certainly weighted to some channels or content creators more than others, which, yeah, it's never great. Viali says that would be everyone moving to Rumble. I think like there's a lot of, especially a lot of the kind of more right-leaning channels, especially news channels, a lot of them have gone over to Rumble because of the amount of grief they got from YouTube for the videos going out during kind of COVID era and that sort of thing, where there was like alternative views and what have you. And whether you agree with the views or whether you don't, that's your choice. But to get kind of banned from a platform because of having an opinion which differs from someone else's, again, that could be deemed as harmful potentially. But ultimately, I think personally, as a human being, I have the right to watch what I want to watch and take notice of things I want to take notice of and disregard things that I don't believe in or whatever. Just having the choice, I think, is, I would say, a God-given right, but even these days you can't really say that. Anyway, let's move on. It's yeah, it's a very bizarre situation. iRolfman says, wait for the next Xbox console, which is actually a PC, a console with forced TPM. The new Xbox, I've heard brief rumblings about it, but effectively, from what I can tell, it's a PC running Steam and Xbox, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but it depends how much they charge for it. Did you?
Yeah,
When, just then?
Yeah. You'd have thought he would be banned from here because he's saying he is.
Yeah.
But his advert for his book is on.
Jay Gordon says it's not what you know, it's who you know. I think that's probably part of it. Yeah. If I was in with the cool YouTube kids,
Or
I'd be right.
sponsored.
Yeah, or sponsored heavily. Arnold G says Earth is flat videos don't get removed. The thing is, they shouldn't, because it's someone's opinion. If they want to make a video about the Earth being flat,
And their opinion
like
of it.
if you don't agree with it, don't agree with it,
Or don't watch it.
or just don't watch it.
Oh, sorry.
Like,
Mate.
you think when we had cable TV, you have all those channels. Like, you don't have to watch all of them. If you don't like something or you disagree with one of the channels, like if you don't want to watch the
RTL 4.
yeah, if you don't want to watch
Mike can speak fluent German.
if you don't want to watch a German language channel, then just watch another channel.
The things you use to translate it into. Oh.
David Under says Rumble is way too right wing for me. It is. The thing is, because a lot of people went over during the kind of the YouTube Armageddon, where all the right wing content creators were being kicked off, it certainly has a more left leaning, a more right leaning bias. Certainly, but then, like anything, like I just said, it's a multiple choice thing. You can click on whatever videos you want to. You don't have to watch the other videos. The sponsors, from what I can tell from most videos, are very much either like the usual kind of thing, like the laser pointers or the night vision goggles or health related stuff. So the videos or the sponsor video stuff seems to be very kind of middle of the road stuff.
But there's a lot of stuff that was taken down from YouTube, like low carb stuff, for example,
Yeah.
which isn't like anything.
Yeah.
But you still couldn't watch any of that. That's all been got. Like a lot of it has gone.
Scott says we need more competition for YouTube. I think, like anything, competition is a really good thing. Like, YouTube has basically got the market sewn up. They are the biggest platform by a country mile, and obviously being that they are so integrated with Google, if you search for a video, it's almost 100% that you will get a YouTube video come up as a recommendation.
But you can't find little channel videos.
No,
Even if you get the title complete, we can't find our
I
own
don't
ones
think
half the time.
yeah, I don't think the size of the channel is more to do with the views and the interaction with the video, or how much like the upvotes get and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think it's
which
prioritising
is
that
to do with the size of the channel in the long term.
to some extent, yeah. Dave Venador says Peter Thiel, Vivek Ramaswamy, and JD Vance are the three biggest investors in Rumble. I think that makes a lot of sense because they could see what was happening to YouTube and the way it had become more left-leaning, and they wanted a bit more balance. So having something which goes a little bit more to the right potentially kind of evens it up. I don't know. The thing is, I heard this conversation actually earlier. Someone was saying about the Brave browser. Now, I have used Brave on my computer. I have it, and I do find it quite useful for certain reasons, which I'm not going to mention on YouTube, but the Brave browser has a certain technology in it which actually is pretty good, especially for longer form content. So for that reason, I sometimes use that. But Brave's co-founder got into issues years ago. Now, the thing is, like, if you went to every single thing that you do in your life and you looked at who invested in what and what they did in previous lives, you're bound to find that people have done things which possibly don't resonate with you personally.
But again,
You have the
everything
choice.
is any of all that
Yeah.
true.
You have to question it. Like, if you wear Nikes, do you wear Nikes? Yes. Potentially you're helping slave labour in foreign countries, which is a bad thing,
I
clearly.
think it's called Nike again now, isn't it?
If you're doing the same, like Puma, Adidas, etc., I'm guessing all of them at some point have had some kind of issues with their labour, and tech companies are probably no different. They, like Foxconn, are well known for being quite a draconic employer, and their employees kind of I think they even had suicide nets outside of some of their buildings, which is like, obviously that's clearly not a good thing, but people still buy iPhones. And obviously people like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all the other big companies, they've all had investments in somewhat questionable things at some point or other. So if you don't use a platform or you don't use a product because of some ethical reason, and that's fine if you don't want to, but
No, Nestle.
I think if you're going to do it, you have to then treat that on a wider base as well. So if you're going to do like, right, I'm not going to use Brave because of this. I'm not going to use Rumble because of that. I'm not going to use Apple because of this reason. I'm not going to buy Foxconn products because of this reason. That's fine, but try and just be a bit more balanced about it and apply that to all aspects rather than like, oh, Reddit says this company is bad, so I'm not going to buy from it. I try not to live my life that way. Like, we don't particularly agree with the way that Nestle treat certain countries and individuals and the things they do in other countries, but I don't necessarily veto them altogether. Or like, if I want something and it's made, happens to be made by someone or part of the Nestle group, I'll eat it because I want to eat it. But does that make me a bad person because of the way they treat other countries? Of course it doesn't.
Not about what they treat other countries. They say you don't have a right to water.
Yes. Brave is actually Chrome. Well, Brave is built on the same... Brave is built on the Android browser. What, I can't think what it's called. Is it Chromium? Chromium. It's built on Chromium. Like pretty much all browsers. David O says, Mike, you review Foxconn built products on a regular basis. Of course I do. The thing is, if I didn't... I don't agree with the things that they do, but ultimately, I want to buy the products that some companies make. Now, I don't necessarily endorse the way they treat people or the things that have gone on. Like, years ago, I used to buy Foxconn motherboards for AMD... What were they back then? They would be the first lot of Core 2 the dual cores. I can't remember what platform it was. Probably the first 64-bit processors. Foxconn were making boards and we were buying them in the shop. And it's like, well, yeah, we know Foxconn, potentially not the most employee-friendly company in the world, but it's a half-decent product. It's a reasonable price, so people want to buy it, so we'll sell it. Look at other cars like Tesla, Ford, Honda, Toyota, Hyundai, Range Rover, Land Rover, BMW, you name it. All of the companies at some point or other have done something bad for the environment, bad for human beings, or just done something completely stupid and they've had a backlash. Happens all the time. You just have to be like a bit balanced, I think, personally. I would never 100% say that I'm not going to buy products from a company because of their actions. Because my position changes. And also, like, there's a time thing as well. Like, if someone done something, like, say for instance you as a viewer, in your life, if you did something to your spouse or to your children or to your family member, and it happened like years and years ago, you would expect forgiveness at some point or other, wouldn't you? Isn't that what we all should be doing to each other, human beings, companies, corporations, in general? Just exercise a little bit of forgiveness. Now, obviously, if people cross the line,
that's
yeah,
the difference if they change.
if they change, definitely, yeah. And I think a lot of the companies, and also in the instance of Brave, the co-founder of Brave issued multiple public apologies for what he did, and has also then gone and done the exact opposite and actually reversed what he did, but still that stigma is attached. So it's kind of like, at which point do you forgive someone for things that they do? Isn't that a thing in the Lord's Prayer? Forgive those that trespass against us, or whatever, that sort of thing. I'm not going to get too deep into it. Let's get this case out, because I'm whiffling on now. Yeah, this is now going to get us completely taken off of YouTube. My apologies. It's been great. It's been nice knowing you. Greg says, was that socket 939? I think it was the one before that. I think it was socket 754. Socket 754 and socket 939 come out very quickly. I think socket 754 was originally DDR, and wasn't socket 939 DDR2, possibly? I'm not sure.
Can't get around cats.
Rasher is giving us a £20 super chat and says, thanks Mike and Kath for your excellent and honest opinions. Thank you. I wouldn't say they're necessarily excellent, but if you think they are, then yeah, that's awesome.
You shouldn't put yourself down so much.
Aletta says, forgive but never forget. I think not necessarily forgetting, but I think letting bygones be bygones and putting things to rest is a good thing for you to do mentally and spiritually, because hanging on to that stuff, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whether it's a relative, whether it's a company, a product or whatever, hanging on to that kind of stuff, it's never good for you, is it? I know it's hard to at times, because sometimes if someone's done you wrong, or a product's done you wrong, or a company's done you wrong, it's really hard to kind of turn the other cheek and just say, right, okay, that's happened, let's just move on. It's really hard to do, but we try. I try. Mark Berry says, lithium mined by kids. Yeah, that's my favourite type of lithium. If my lithium isn't mined by kids, I don't want an EV.
It's not even just EVs, is it?
Tongue thrown in cheek.
Look at us trying to buy a fan for my mum yesterday. You could hardly buy any fans that plug into the wall.
Yeah,
They're
that's
all
true.
rechargeable.
Matthew Day's coming to the rescue there. Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, 754 was single channel. 939 was dual channel. Thank you. Yeah, I wonder what... Because I vaguely remember I'm sure I had like 384 megabytes of RAM on my 754 system over 3 sticks. Like 3 128s. I think. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think I had 3 128 sticks on my 754 Athlon X2. I love that platform. It's great. Then 939 came out, and I think 939 also didn't have a better version of PCI Express, possibly, or was it just dual channel? I think it might have been the same PCI Express. It's murky, that area. I think that was like early 2004, 2005 maybe. Just 20 years ago. you couldn't excuse my ignorance a little bit.
That was like weed.
Yeah. Valley 100 says, never hate, always forgive, or it'll eat away at you. I think, yeah, I would agree with that.
You have to resolve it though.
Hate takes up a lot of energy.
You have to resolve the conflict though. You can't just ignore it.
It's true.
That would eat you up even more.
Our Portier says, once I've said goodbye or distanced myself from something or someone, then I am completely done with it. I can understand that, and in some instances that makes actual sense to do so, but also potentially you could be missing out on so much. But if it works for you, hey, it works for you. There's many things in my life that have happened where I've tried to basically completely block it out, but ultimately it just takes so much energy, and it's just one of those things that kind of just, that thing on your back. Anyway, I'm going to get this case. Only because I'm getting a sweaty arse. I didn't mute my mic then, did I? No.
Sorry.
It's much cooler now. 25.5 degrees. Now, 25.5 degrees at night is not great. So it's going to be a bit of a sweaty one tonight, I feel.
I don't know. It's getting very cold in here.
It's a nice breeze. There's supposed to be tornadoes and stuff in some parts of the UK. Rick H says, Intel and MSI fanboy here for years. Yes. David Endo says, new UK porn star, sweaty arse. Better than bend over. Alex says, it's too hot, Mike. It's not too bad now. There's a nice breeze coming in. It's actually really, yeah, I'm feeling a bit more energized now. 25.5 degrees Celsius. Humidity is rising a little bit. 60%. How many what?
Even later.
Dead BC77 says, is 64 gigabytes overkill for just gaming? Probably, yeah, to be fair. It depends. If you are one of those people where you install Ubisoft, Steam, Epic, I can't think of the other ones, but if you install a lot of those kind of things, You've also got multiple game tabs open, you've got multiple monitors with like Chrome tabs here, there and everywhere, then you could probably get away with 64 gigs now and be kind of ready for the future a little bit. I use 32 gigs, and I do find at certain times, especially when I've got some Chrome tabs open, got Discord open. Discord is quite a memory hog because it runs, obviously, it runs as essentially it's another Chrome, so it's a big Chrome tab effectively. I find Chrome tabs now running into the gigabytes of size. Let me see, this live streaming tab at the moment is currently 1.4 gigabytes for a single tab. So if you've got multiple tabs open, you are going to fill your memory up pretty quickly. So 64 gigs, I would have said immediately, a couple of years ago, I would have said immediately, no, that's ridiculous, that's overkill. But with prices what they are, and also the fact of buying like a 64 gig kit over 2 sticks isn't ridiculously expensive now, I would say it's not necessarily overkill. It's actually potentially a relatively good investment if you can get a kit with decent timings. Ira Wolfman says 64 gigs is the new standard. I'm not too sure about it being the new standard. It's certainly nice to have. I think 32 gigs is the new kind of the standard. Purely for no reason other than the majority of RAM kits, the 32 gig kit is financially a better value than the 16 gig kits. Like the 16 gig kits at the moment, say for instance the 32 gig is like £100 for argument's sake, the 16 gig kit will be kind of like £60 to £70. So at that point, like if you can stretch the extra, you're getting double, so you might as well do it. So I would probably go along with that. Dutch Jan's YouTube is up to 802 megabytes. That's a lot on it for a tab. David Underhill says no such thing as too much memory, but not enough is a problem at times. Now I would slightly disagree, because I do vividly remember having Windows Millennium on actually I think I had it on my socket 754 system with 384 megabytes of RAM, and I'm pretty sure it was too much RAM, so I had to physically tell the machine to only use 256. I'm pretty sure it was that platform. It may have been something slightly older, but I think it was along those same lines where I had more RAM than Windows ME actually liked having or could address. Take notice, Windows ME. I really liked Windows ME. I liked the glossy and shiny look of it over Windows 98 SE, but yeah, it wasn't great for a few reasons. Anyway, let's take a look at this case, because I'm actually quite excited to show you this one, because it's actually a bit of a break from the norm in terms of pricing. So this is the Lian Li V100R. As you can possibly already tell from the box is a massive giveaway. That light's really yellow. Anyway, so yeah, the V100R, there's all the specs in there. So it's 446 millimeters in length. It is 484 millimeters in height, and it's 235.5 millimeters in width. I like the layout. I/O on the side, fish tank style, 4 fans included, $69.99. Or alternatively, you can get a version of this without the included fans for about £10 cheaper. So for that reason, I didn't mention it in the actual video review, and I probably won't even put links for it in the description, because I think for the extra £10, having 4 extra PWM ARGB fans is ridiculously cheap, like £2.50 a fan. You won't beat that anywhere. So I think it makes sense to buy it in this configuration. But having said that, if you do want it in the other configuration, you can get it fanless as well. Right, let me get it out of the box a minute so you can take a better look. Get it out. I bought a new kettle.
It's lovely.
And it's really, really good. If anyone's after a new kettle, it's got,
careful, but that's right.
It didn't come from Thailand. But there's got a lot of Thai. Is that Thai? There's Thai writing in it.
Can't see that far.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Is that writing on there? Is that Thai? Can someone please answer? I don't know, but it looks like it might be. No doubt Philips have probably done something.
Arabic.
Oh, Arabic, thank you. It's a really good kettle. Very cheap, 20 quid on Amazon. It's a really nice kettle.
Do you like the kettle, Otis? Otis?
.3 degrees. It's gradually dropping.
That's a lot. That's a quick drop in it. 5 degrees.
Yeah.
In like 2 hours.
You notice it. It's a clear sky tonight as well, so it probably will drop quite considerably. Oh.
That didn't sound very good.
No, it didn't. That was definitely an oof. Right, this thing has got an awful lot of glass on it, so
Did that,
It-
anyway.
it specs reflecto porn.
Oh no. Get it off, get it off.
Get it off. Ow, electric shock. Okie dokie. Right. I'll quick.
It's like some
Yeah, there's something going on, isn't there? Yeah. Right, I'll give you a quick look. There's the glass. So you've got a glass side panel, and also you've got a glass front panel. So I'm going to remove those immediately. Comes out really easy. So there's a little latch at the back there. So you just open it up and you put it to one side. You'll notice the glass has a very unusual section here, which I don't think I've seen on any other case. I smell burning plastic. Can you smell it? Or is it this thing?
Might be that thing.
Might be actually.
Oh, yeah, let's get me to look round and reflected boring.
Nice. Front panel comes off nice and easy as well, so just pull that off and that rests in a little channel on the front there. So nice and easy to put back in when you want to, or if you're doing any maintenance work. And now we can actually sit down and we can have a look at this together. We can sit down and have a little chat and see what you think about it. So this is the Lian Li V100R. Nearly forget what it's called there. What's your initial thoughts? Let me know in the chat and I will peek over and see what you think. Alex says, nice chassis. Thank you very much. What about the case though? Saudi Arabia. Okay, thank you.
Ratcher says his last 2 kettles have been glass and chrome and have blue LED lights. We had one of those,
Oh, yeah,
but our line
good.
scale's so bad, it's
Yeah.
embarrassing. Unless you cleaned it every day, it was horrendous.
Aletta says lots of glass often equals not enough air. Yes, that definitely is a thing.
Can they hear that rowdiness?
Probably. Scott says at the moment it's 88 Fahrenheit, so that's 31.1 C, and it feels like a temp of 37. Ouch. Rasher says cool. Aletta says it looks like a Lian Li clone. It is a Lian Li clone. It's a good budget case, says Ari Wolfman. Rick H says an interesting design. I think I agree with that. Michael Elliam says I like. Scott says nice case, Mike. Thanks, Scott. Paul Lamont says the same, nice case. Nick Barnes says why white fans? This because they're opaque. It's opaque plastic, so they are illuminated RGB. When the lighting's on, they change to the color of the lighting. So yeah, they're not. It probably looks like white on camera, but they are actually opaque. Rick says, shame it's not in white, easier to show on videos. Now that is the reason why I got the black version. They offered me the white version, and for making videos, it makes a lot of sense. But for a couple of reasons, the black version I feel is the better option. For me personally. Now, obviously, if you want the white one, go for the white one. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, well, 2 factors. One, in this house, we have basically everything in this white goes yellow because of environmental conditions, etc., etc. Not going to go too much into that, but yeah, everything goes off white very quickly in this house. And also because basically the sunlight comes in through that window, and like stuff over here tends to get sun bleached, stuff over there less so. So it's a really weird setup. Anyway, also there's no rubber grommets on the side. So if you are going with a white build, you're going to have to go for white cabling for pretty much everything. Otherwise, the black cables are going to show up, or you'd have to go for the expense of cable extensions. Now, for me personally, again, I think with white cases, it's a very interesting and it's a very nice way of making a case look very nice, very good. It's definitely a design ethic, but matching the whites together on cases and components is really, really difficult. Most manufacturers, their idea of white may differ from another. So you get the more bluey white, you get the creamy whites, you get the off-whites. It's a really difficult thing to get it to pull off together. And in fact, my case here in the background, this is the Series 500, which hopefully you can just about still see. So Thermaltake's white is a more going into the kind of more beigey white, or more normal white, I would say. Whereas a lot of manufacturers tend to go to the more bluey side. So yeah, trying to match it up nicely doesn't work out well. So like the MSI graphics card, the white on there is almost bang on. The Thermaltake cooler is pretty much bang on. But the cabling is a little bit yellower. So it looks like it's dirty, but it's not. I've even bleached the cables to make sure, and they are as white as they will go. So trying to match white is actually quite difficult. At a moment's glance, you wouldn't notice the difference, but if you're looking at it day after day after day, it's little things like that which can get quite annoying, especially if you're buying a PC case to do that whole white thing. Can you hear that music?
Can I?
No, I'm just asking them. Can you hear it? Can you hear the music? There's some party going on in the pub. Dutch Jan says yes. Rasher says no. Nick Barnes says it's yellowing caused by the cats peeing, waiting in queue for the litter tray.
Oh, Maisie was out today and she came in to have a pee in her litter and then went back out.
She did, bless her. So anyway, that is my reason for behind the black case, because I'm in two minds about this one. I really like the case, and I'm likely going to either put the streaming PC into this or my video editing PC, which my video editing PC at the moment is in the Lian Li 200 digital. Oh, sorry, the 207 digital. But I kind of like the look of this one, and also I love the fact that the ports for the I/O are on the side. That for me is awesome. So if you've got it on your desk and you kind of like this setup, you've got your PC next to you, monitor, keyboard, mouse, you've got your ports just there. That's really handy. A little bit annoying if you accidentally bang the power button, but it's unlikely you're going to realistically do that. But I think it's nice to have the ports there rather than kind of like hunting around on top to see where the ports are. That for me is great. I like the ports being there. Also as well, it helps with cable management, because all of your front I/O, which would normally be up here, which you'd normally kind of drape down the back, you don't have to anymore because it's on there. So you just short distance into like your front panel connectors, your USB-C, USB 3 on the side there. So your cable's just going up to there. So it makes the top and the back a little bit clearer in terms of space. But again, I do like the I/O. So you've got two USB 3.0s, so that's 5 gigabit per second. You've got USB Type-C, that's also 5 gigabit per second. Shame it's not a bit faster, but it's a relatively cheap case, so I can kind of forgive that. And realistically, I'll probably only use that for maybe charging a phone or plugging in maybe a microphone, headset, that type of thing, possibly. Maybe a USB stick, but I'm probably not going to be transferring a huge amount of data over it. Combo headset mic jack, reset button, and also a power button. So unusually for a Lian Li case of this era, you actually get a reset button as well, which doesn't often happen. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Got a nice little bit of a design accent on here. So these are actually indented a little bit. So those are all kind of nice. I like that. And in terms of the layout, it will take an ATX motherboard, a eATX motherboard, so it can expand over to the side, micro ATX and ITX, all the usual stuff. But also, you're probably noticing already, there's an absolute ton of cutouts here. So you can use Back to the Future or Project Zero, or I'm not sure what Gigabyte call it, but whatever their back to front type boards are. What I mean by back to front is the motherboards where the connectors are actually on the back of the board. So if you want to go for like an ultra clean looking setup, you can plug in your connections on the back for both ATX and also the micro ATX variants. So if you want to save a bit of money, go for a micro ATX board, you can fit that in there and still use the back connectors, which is pretty cool. Fans, all pre-included, pre-wired, etc. So you've got 3 reverse blades there, all addressable RGB, 800 to 1800 RPMs, pretty quiet as well. And on the back, you probably can't see it very well there, but you've got another 120. That's a normal traditional fan, so that's going to be exhausting. So the airflow path is going to be 3 fans blowing in here, going around the case, being drawn out through the back, potentially drawn out from the top from your AIO if you put one in, or it's going to go through the perforations of the case. So it's got a nice bit of airflow to it. And also, if you want to, it can fit up to 9 fans. So 3 120s in the top, or 2 140s, 3 120s on the side, another 120 at the back, optionally a 140, and on the bottom, through the basement section, this is all ventilated as well, and they give you some screws in the accessories box, so you can put another 120 on there, 2 120s. That one there is probably a bit pointless, because it's going to be above the power supply, so it's not going to grab a huge amount of air. There is a little bit of a gap, about that much, between the fan and the power supply, so you might still get a little bit through there, but I think realistically that is going to be for the people that have got a little bit of money to burn and they just want to see a bit more RGB on the bottom. But you don't necessarily have to, because there is also an RGB strip which runs the entire length of the front of the case, runs parallel with the glass, and there's 26 individual LEDs on there, so you get a nice diffused RGB effect, or static colors if you want to, depending what motherboard you're using. But something which is a little bit unusual, which we don't see in cases, especially ones which are on the more budget-friendly side, let's say, is on the front, you've got the Lian Li badge, which you'd expect as a Lian Li case, but also there's this section here. So normally you can just use it as it is, and it's absolutely fine, carry on, all great. But for those of you that have actually seen the thumbnail of the video, all you do, get a little cross-headed screw, undo this screw at the front, remove said screw, and this section comes out, little plastic riser. Now, if you want to, you can store your weed under there. You know what I'm talking about. Or you can put in your little mascots, or your lightsaber, or your favorite brand of car cleaning product. Today we'll be using Chemical Guy's Fabric Clean, so if you want to put that in there you can do. But yeah, it's just a nice little stand for putting in your little artifacts and knickknacks and what have you. If you want to, you don't have to. Obviously, if you don't want to do that, you can put your little bag of weed in there, put that in there, put the screw back in, still magnetized. And then when your parents come around and search your bedroom for your weed, you're like, oh, I ain't got no weed. Don't do weed. You can store it in there. I'm not condoning smoking weed, clearly, but if you want something to store something, whether you want to put a little bit of gold or silver in there, a little bit of hidden treasure, you could do that as well. Anyway, tired and silly now. It's been a long day. So that is the kind of the broad stroke tour of what is going on. We take a look at the back. ATX power supply, as you'd expect, on the bottom. All of the PCI Express slots are completely non-captive, so they are removable. Optionally, you can get a vertical bracket. That's what I was thinking of. I was thinking, what's the name of the thing for the graphics cards? A vertical bracket. So you can put a vertical GPU in there if you wanted to, but you'd have to provide the hardware. I/O panel, fan on there. Again, you can replace that. There is a reason why you won't want to replace that to a 140, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And I think it's going to be one of those things where it's not a big deal, but I haven't seen anyone else mention this about this case previously. So we will go into that in more detail. Something else I actually really do like is the power supply basement section. There's a lip on the end, which I don't know if you can actually see from that angle, so maybe do the overhead. Is that visible? Not particularly, especially on a black background. Good choice, Mike. So hopefully you can see that, but basically there's a little lip there. So to remove the power supply filter, you just press that down and you can slide it out. I actually quite like that. And the fact that you've got this extra lip on the end, which is actually quite a protrusion,
I'm thinking of it like that.
is great. It is almost, yeah. And you can put it back in relatively easily, he says. So put it back in, and yeah, I think it's just really good that that is there. You can get to it easily, so you don't have to kind of push the case to the side to lift it up to get to it. You can actually leave the PC in place and take it out. It's inconvenient because it's at the back, but realistically, what else are you going to do? Actually, while we've got the overhead camera on, we might as well take a look at the top. Squishing that over a little bit. So the top section, that comes off. There's a little lever here and here. So just a little grab, and that has got a nice nylon mesh to it. And also some support pillars to stop it from sagging or moving. If you take it out the way, you can see you've got your section here, so 360mm radiators, or alternatively you can put larger fans in. I'm thinking there's 3 sets of screw holes there, so I'm thinking 120, 140, 160, possibly. I know 160 isn't really a thing, but maybe. Anyway, nice and strong as well, so put a bit of weight on there. Doesn't want to flex or anything, so that is pretty good. And actually, something I do like about this top panel is all plastic. That's obviously a bit of a cost saving there, and also makes it lighter to transport. But actually putting it back on is really nice, so it's a 6-click. So six little pops.
7.
I know, I missed the first one out. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And also, it's got nice mesh in there, pretty easy to clean. So yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job on that. Let me know what you think. Side would be better for the filter, says Iron Wolfman. Let's have a look, see what else people are saying. Firephone says, Mike, is it possible to have NVMe SSD drive with 2 notches? I don't think so. I think that would be an M-class drive, so that would be a SATA SSD. Anyway, moving on. So, the back panel, as obviously those fans on the side are going to be your intake. So that is your intake filter. And also, if you have the fans at the bottom, then that is also your intake to take air through to the inner channel. Taking the side panel off, again, very easy to do. Little indentation at the back, and you just pop that out and take that away. You see, it's got a decent porosity to it, which is going to be good. Hey?
That was a big word for you.
It was, wasn't it? I had to think about it before I said it. Porosity.
Mate, you didn't say it right.
Porosity. It's got the same porosity as my skin in this hot weather. Just leaking water out. So, someone said GPU support. There is a GPU support in there. Also, in terms of GPU support of length, 420mm for the graphics card length, which is massive. 178mm for your CPU cooler if you go for a tower one. And obviously that's because you've got a 140mm fan, so 140 plus the sides.
Dutch Jan likes it.
Dutch Jan likes it. OMG.
Germany, though.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to him. Rick H says, I would take the filter off the top, it hinders the airflow. It's quite porous. The mesh on the top is actually quite minimal. I will be doing some testing this because I am almost 100% sure I'm going to put my video editing PC into this, because where my video editing PC is currently is on top of my desk over there. So at the moment I can't reach the USBs without standing on a chair, which is ridiculous. So having this is going to be much better. And also, there was another reason, I can't think of it. I thought of it at the time, but I can't think of it at the moment. But yeah, I want to use this case, so I think this is going to be my video editing PC. Cable management, loads of room for cable management. There's about a 1-inch depth there. You've also got some cutouts and some Velcro straps, 4 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for putting your cables up through. There's not a great deal of hard drive storage on here, which for some people might be a problem. So you've got a 2.5-inch drive caddy there. So standard 2.5 inch drive caddy there, which, oh come on, there we go. A little bit fiddly. It is on a thumb screw though, so it's not the end of the world. There's also room in the bottom basement to put a 3.5 inch drive. So one 3.5 inch drive, one 2.5 inch drive, which again is a little bit meager, but I think they've made good use of the space. So the drive's going to go underneath there, so it's not encroaching into the PSU basement. In the PSU basement, loads of room in there. So power supply basically as big as you want. There's not going to be any issues with that at all. Cabling, all done in black, so that's pretty nice. And when it comes to the fans, now the fans is the real kind of crux of this. So the fans are daisy chained, but they're on their own kind of Lian Li style connection. So the three there are all daisy chained together. This one in the back, there's actually some nice cable management as well in the back. So you've got these little plastic tags, so you can put your wires around there for your EPS connector and stuff. I do like those, and yeah, loads of options for cable management. So the cable comes down to the bottom. This is where it gets a bit confusing. So the cable from the fan at the back comes all the way down, plugs into this connection, which go, yes, they are RGB and PWM.
And can you see just quickly Dutch jams on there? Does that mean anything to you to put Mike and then?
Dutch Jam, Mike,
If that means anything.
C Strasse 38.
Is that
Oh, is that his address? So, when it comes to connecting up to your motherboard, all you're going to need is a single PWM for all 4 fans, and also for the RGB there's just a single 5V 3-pin addressable RGB, and also it's got a pass-through, and that is actually daisy chained as well. So one cable goes from the fans, and one of these cables comes from the RGB strip on the far side. So as you would do normally, you just kind of daisy chain all that stuff up together. And basically it's going to leave you with just 2 connections. So that's going to be it for all the RGB, all the fans, straight out of the box. All you need is 2 connectors, which is pretty cool. And obviously there's no actual controller or hub or anything like that, because you basically don't need one, because it's all daisy chained together. So that is excellent. I do like that, because it's just something else not to have to worry about in this area. So that's pretty good. Let's say all the cabling is blacked out, etc. Pretty decent. And also, it is that kind of legendary Lian Li build quality. Everything's like really solid. It's built like a tank, despite it being relatively cheap. Because I was thinking about this, at the moment this case is $69.99, which obviously there's going to be some manufacturers that, or some distributors and retailers which will do offers and discounts. Scan quite often will do a discount 10, 15, 20 quid. So there is a potential for this case to be on sale for like 60, 50 quid. It's going to be a push, but if you think at the moment the tariff situation is adding on like inflationary costs about 10 to 15%, maybe 20, possibly even more. So if we're looking at, say, best case scenario, 20% extra on this case at the moment because of the tariff situation, if that comes to a head or is resolved, let's say, or gets better, if you take 20% off of this case at 70 quid, that is going to be down to about 55 quid. So if you think of it as like a 50, 60 quid case, but in today's money is 70 because of what's going on, there isn't that much better on the market, I don't think, for the money. Anyway, on the bottom, so you've got the mounting sections there for your 3.5 inch drive, mountings, kits all in there, and you've got your removable filter, actually nice big wide filter there as well, and you've got obviously the feet at the bottom. So yeah, I think overall, like for 70 quid, with the 4 fans, this is cracking value. And what I will do is I will get out the... Actually, I don't even need to get out the power supply. What I can do is do my good trick that I did previously, and that is use my extension cables and plug them straight into my motherboard on my computer. I worked this out the other day, because I get tired of getting all the stuff out, the power supply, the fan controller, the hubs and all that kind of stuff. I could just run an extension cable from my computer there straight to the case, which makes life easier. So I'll give you a quick demonstration of the fans and also the noise levels and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I didn't think about this years ago. That one is going to go to, I can't try to think now. So there, that goes to the motherboard. That one goes to there. That goes into that one. I actually need to make up a RGB extension cable just for this kind of use. Oh, I've connected 3 up together now. I only wanted 2. Oh, that'll do. So I can now overload the trusty header on my MSI board. And why am I not getting the display? Oh, that's why. Because I haven't plugged in the doll. You forgot to hook up the doll. And there we go. There he is, all lit up. So you've got your addressable RGB strip at the bottom. And you've got your 4 fans. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, I haven't plugged that in yet, have I? Let's plug in the fans into the fan header, which is that one there. I bet I set the fans so low that they're not going to spin now. Yeah. I've set the fans too low. Do you know you can do that actually with daisy chain fans? If you don't put enough voltage through them, there you go. They're just playing. So those are clearly on the lowest possible setting. They're still actually moving some air, but they are completely, absolutely silent. You put the bobble head in there as well. So I think it looks really nice. I genuinely do. There is something about this kind of layout with the RGB on the side which I just kind of like, especially when you're looking at it from side on a lot of the time. I think that'll look very nice up there, but we'll see. What are people thinking? Dutch Jan says, question, no individual fans? No, it's basically, if you think of the fans as like a kit of 4, so they're all kind of specific to themselves, so they all have to be used at the same time. You can't really use them in other situations. You could probably put the intake ones on the top if you wanted to, which I don't think you really want to. The idea of this is, obviously, if you want a case for a reasonably good price, or actually a very good price, really considering what it is, and you want a nice quality case, nice fans and all that kind of stuff, I think this is a really good very good proposition.
He wants to go down the slider.
iWolfman says £70 on overclockers. Yep.
He wants to go down the slider now, I think. Bobblehead.
Bobblehead.
Bobble.
iWolfman says, no, who was saying that? Viali, question, Mike, still not ordered the Fantex fans? I haven't, no. I wish I still had the Montec 903 case so I could actually put those fans into one. I must do that at some point. I keep on forgetting.
He keeps on forgetting to cancel his contract with Vodafone as well.
Yeah, I've got a Voxy contract with Vodafone. I keep on, that's 2 months now, where I've got a SIM card. It's not even in a phone, and I'm still paying the bill for it. 3 at most. 3, yeah.
I'm sure I put it out twice.
Firephone asked, I think, no SATA connection? No, doesn't need a SATA because there's no controller. You literally plug them straight into your motherboard. So there's no need for a controller, no need for a hub. They just plug into your motherboard. Or a controller if you want to put one in. But realistically, it's one ARGB connection, one PWM connection, which you can almost guarantee that your motherboard's going to have. Even if the motherboard is like an ITX and it's only got a CPU fan and an optional chassis fan, it's still going to work absolutely fine with this because it doesn't need all that extra stuff, which is the way they've also saved money. And I actually like the look of this, I really do. And I like the kind of the V section here, or the kind of the drop off. It just makes it look a bit different. I think cases are getting quite square and quite blocky and a little bit kind of soulless. And this, I think, has got a little bit of character. Or at least it can have a character on there. iRobot is hypnotic. Nick Byron says, nice RGB and stylish for 70 quid. They're not powered by SATA, no. Dutch Jan says, I mean to set individually. No, they've all got to be, basically they all act as one. So if you set...
He's gone out of his dog at the moment.
Oh, if you, yeah, they are basically one. So for me, I like this because I don't like having multiple fans to actually take control of. I'd rather just plug in one thing and say, right, just spin that at whatever and be done with it. That works well for me. Our Portier says, doesn't look bad. I prefer Micro ATX myself. No worries. Rick says, not bad. In black, it does have potential. I think it does. I think it's a cracking case. Like I say, it's got the traditional Lian Li build quality, so it's all nice and solid. Even where you've got like tons of perforations, it's still like really, really good, which I like. And also because they've made the cost savings, so the side panel being plastic makes it lighter. Also this top section, plastic, so that again makes it lighter. I think the total weight of this case, as it comes, is probably only about 8 kilos, if that. I don't know if it even says on the box. Maybe it does. Let me see. It feels like it's about 8 kilos, which is pretty lightweight for a case, especially when you've got... Well, actually, there's not got the tempered glass in there at the moment, so I'll shut up. What does it say? I hate it when they don't say that on me. They used to always say like net weight and gross weight, but it doesn't say it on there. No, I'm not too sure of the actual weight.
Sometimes you go up and put them on the scales.
I do, yeah.
You should know they
but that's in the box, isn't it? So, anyway, I think this, I think it's a nice looking case, and again, depending on what you're going to put in it, that is going to be really the kind of the main deciding factor of what it's going to be. Other things of note: the centralized lug in the middle. So if you put a motherboard in, it locks in on the middle plug, which keeps it all nice and safe. Calf's being disruptive. Oh, I suppose I should turn the fans up, shouldn't I? Let's turn the fans up onto full blast so you can hear them. Turn them up. Where is my controller? MSI center.
So you should have done this earlier and you could have had the fans on you then.
That's true. Actually, when I got this case unboxed, I think I did this on Friday.
I can feel that. Has that gone up now?
No. On Friday, it was like really warm, and I was filming the B-roll for the review video, and I was sat kind of where the camera is almost on the side there, and I had the fans turned up, and it's like, oh, this is really nice. I didn't want to turn the fans off, but yeah, it was blowing quite a decent breeze. All right, customize. What port are we on? We're on port number 6, I think. Yes. So they're currently at 30%, so let's jack them right up. So this is on full speed, so they're going to slowly ramp up.
It's still quieter than the pub.
Still quieter than the pub, yeah.
Get a bit. Sorry, Mace is eating.
I love how slow they ramp. So you don't get that kind of...
It's quite a low sound and it's not a
Yeah.
high-pitched squeal.
It's more of a rumble.
Sorry, Mace is eating.
And that is... it's difficult to demonstrate how much wind it's actually producing. But that is on full speed at roughly, yeah, 1800 RPM. It's literally just hit 1800 RPM. And for a lot of people, they could probably run them at that speed all day long and not really worry about it. The noise profile of the fans is excellent. So that is on full blast. You can probably hear Maisie collar in her food bowl louder than what that is. Awesome. I could live with that. Viali says it looks really good for the price. Lian Li quality. Mike's hair got blown away by the fans.
It is actually moving my hair over here.
Calf's hair is moving over there.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a bit stiff with...
Now for the tongue test. Not bad through my headphones. Mike, are you going to keep the fans or put your own in and an AIO? I think I'm going to put an AIO. I think an AIO in this makes a lot of sense, especially seeing that my video editing PC now is a 7900X, so it can consume almost 200 watts when it's under full load doing rendering projects, in which case an AIO would be preferable. I've also noticed this week my CPU temperature, idle temperature, has been in the upper 40s, which I would prefer to keep it in the lower 40s. So at the moment I'm using that big Thermalright cooler, but I think I might upgrade to a Thermalright AIO in this, which also is black and addressable RGB. So I think that would be a nice kind of look finish for it. But again, I cannot remember the last time that I did a review of a video, a review of a case, and I set the case fans to 100% and I left them on, and it didn't really make a massive lot of difference. Normally people are like, right, turn them off now, it's too noisy, or even Calf says it.
Can you fit your Mac in that little toy area?
No, the Mac won't fit in that area.
Have you tried it?
I wouldn't try it. I don't think it would. So yeah, I think the fans are brilliant. Considering, again, normally when you buy a cheap case or a more cost-effective case, like the fans are the first thing which you're like, right, okay, let's strip those out, rip them out. But you really don't need to.
I think you should put Mackie D's.
Which is weird.
Now and see how long it lasts.
Yeah. Let's see how low we can get these without them being noisy but still moving a lot of air. I'll set them to 50%. So that'll be 50% shortly. I got a feeling I've set the ramp time to be quite long on the motherboard as well, which is probably not helping. There we go. There's definitely a tone change there as it dropped a little bit.
Right, Dave? Yeah.
So that's at 50%, and I think it's still dropping.
What's wrong?
Is
Do
it
you like that case?
So that is 1300 RPM, which still you can hear it, but I think I would drop it down to 1200 maybe for normal use. Yeah, that's just dropped it down, so that's really nice now. So they're moving still quite a lot of air, and that is around about 1000 RPM. You can get them down to as low as 800 RPM, but realistically, if you want a bit of extra airflow, then you can keep them there. They start from 30% on the MSI slider, so 30% is 800 RPM. They won't go any lower than that, but you don't really need to, because 800 RPM they still move air and they're still kind of, well, doing what they need to and not making a racket, which is awesome. David Under says, I want that case. I want a case that allows more than 20 fans. Viali says, do you know which fans they are? I honestly don't. On the back, all it says is 12 volt DC, 0.11 amps. It actually says 200 to 1800 RPM, which I'm sure is a mistake, because they don't go to 200 RPM, because they just stop. Maybe if there was just one in the daisy chain, you might get it down to 200 RPM, but I'm sure that's a mistake. They're 800 to 1800. But yeah, it doesn't have any markings or any identifiable things on them whatsoever.
Not food? Come on then.
And actually it's quite unusual, because normally reverse blade fans generally tend to have a worse noise profile to them because of the way that they're working. They're kind of working in the opposite direction to they're not meant to. So generally they don't sound quite as nice. Generally louder, generally don't move as much air, normally. So yeah, I was quite surprised that when I got this out of the box and I was like, I don't know how they've done this for 70 quid. Because obviously at 70 quid they're still making a decent margin on it, probably about 40%. So yeah, I don't know. I don't understand how they've managed to do it. Hey Susan Robbins, how you doing? And hello, free speech is dead.
Just talking about that earlier.
Viali says I have my 140mm fans between 600 and 750 RPM. Cool. Dutch Jan says I think that's so stupid. Just indicate which fans they are. Yeah, definitely. They are quite unusual. There's some sort of like distinct ridges on the side of the fans, which in theory should make them quite easy to work out what they actually are or who makes them. But yeah, they've definitely left the majority of the information off of there.
Get a bit cold now, to be honest. That's a hoodie on.
It's cold. It's down to 24.7. Now I have to get my jumper on.
Get them off.
Yeah. Susan says I'm late today. No worries. Ira Wolfman says you need to put the MSI B850M power into it. You never know. Rick says, yeah, it's silent to me. It is really quiet. It's very good. If you're looking for a PC case that isn't going to break the bank but covers pretty much all the bases, but I still can't really see that there's any real negativity here. The only thing I would say is I would have liked to have seen it to be slightly taller. So between the top of the motherboard and the top of the case is about 45mm, 50mm thereabouts. It is recessed quite a bit. So the AIO 120 does overhang quite a bit. So you're still going to get access to your EPS connectors and your fan connectors and all that kind of stuff at the top. But I would have liked to have seen like maybe another 10mm just to give you that little bit of extra headroom in there. Because actually, I'm going to do it now. I was going to measure my... oh god, trousers in my ass. I was going to measure to see what the height difference is on this. So that is about 55. So yeah, 55mm in the series 500. And that's about 50. So it's about 5mm difference. So it's going to be a little bit closer to the connectors on the top of the motherboard. Obviously, if you're going with a back to front motherboard, then that isn't going to be a concern anyway, because it's all going to be connected at the back. But certainly, yeah, it's going to be relatively easy to work with. Like for an air cooler, obviously no problems at all. For water cooling, it might be slightly more cramped at the top. If I'm being hypercritical, I would say that is the only thing which I would say a little bit more height between the top of the motherboard and the top of the case would have been nice. And possibly some rubber grommets, but being that those are kind of like those 90-degree openings, it's hard to put rubber in there anyway. And again, realistically on a black case with black cabling, you're never going to see it anyway, so it's slightly pointless. Anyway, there you go. Any questions about the case before I pack it away? Or any measurements you wish to have measured? And I will let you know. Vianney says, I think they look like the ST120s. I used to run some on AIO. They cost about 35 quid for a pack of 3. They're rich for her pleasure. You never know. Fireflame Mike, how do you cope with the Bristol heat? Well, earlier on, I wasn't coping very well. But I do have my bottle of spritzy water. So I can just spritz myself in the face to cool down, which is quite nice. It's quite refreshing. That might be a thing. I might have to get the mubs, call it the mub spray. We'll give it away to patrons. O'Reilly says, Mike has given us a show with his trousers. YouTube will give another warning. You never know. Well, they could do, and you'll never have no idea. They probably say that spraying my face with this is harmful content because the bottle says chemical guys fabric clean. Clearly it's not fabric cleaner, it's just water. Can you put the glass back? Can you put the glass back on while the fans are going? Yeah, I can do that. I'll stand up. That's easier. There you go. I've still got the peel on. Watch out, reflecto porn. Oh, thanks. Is that all for me?
Can do.
Bless Kath, she got me a drink. So this is Kath's own made. Look, oh, she's all pleased with herself because she made this. So this is raspberry kefir with ice cubes. Kefir, sorry. I didn't pronounce it right.
I think you can say it however you like. It's
Oh,
water kefir.
I can smell that now. It smells
so
really strong of
raspberry.
raspberries.
It only has 4 raspberries. And it's just fermented.
Fermented sugar and fermented raspberries. It almost tastes like raspberry ripple ice cream.
It is so lush, isn't it? It's so tasty. And it's only 4 raspberries in it. And they were grown in our garden
It's really good.
by me.
Thank you. Homemade kefir.
Water kefir.
Water kefir with homemade raspberries from our own garden. Blimey. Mookie MC says, cool, thanks. I wanted to see the reflections.
Have I been on there now? No.
I think that looks really nice. Looks really stylish. And actually, I didn't realise there is actually protective film on the inside as well. So I should take that out.
Riker.
Captain Riker.
Anybody interested in that?
Yep.
Riker.
Riker.
Anybody?
Wow, peeling, stop the video. Yeah, bit too much static build up. Riker, anyone else help me with this? I've got a B550 and I'm trying to install a 5060 PMY and it won't boot. It says no HDMI whenever I install it, but it'll boot if I put in the old one back in.
Discord.
Yeah, just join our Discord. Someone might be able to help you there. Otherwise, could just be a faulty card, or the power not going fully in, or it's your motherboard doesn't support PCI Express Gen 5. You might actually have to go into your BIOS before you swap the card, put your old card back in your PCI Express in the BIOS, change it from Auto to PCI Express Gen 4, then put the graphics card in after. Because sometimes if you set a graphics card to automatic, because the PCI Express bus is expecting 5X or Gen 5, the signal quality for Gen 5 is much better than Gen 4 or Gen 3. So if it's trying to communicate over the Gen 5 bus, it's probably not able to, because the B550 wasn't made for that speed. So set it to PCI Express Gen 4 manually, and it should be okay. Mookie MC says, I'm not seeing this on Amazon in the US right now. Funny enough, when Kath was doing the video, the blurb and what have you, you couldn't find it either, could you?
What's that for?
The Lian Li case in America. It's not there yet, is it? Don't think it was in the UK either, was it?
I don't know. Blue green special that we've set up early. Yeah, it's in America.
Is it?
I'll put the link in.
Kath will put the link in for you. Right, is that connected? Yeah, let's disconnect that.
Let us know.
Right, Kath's put a link in the chat, so give that a go. See you get on. And what have we got here? Oh, that was supposed to be plugged into that, wasn't it? Dipstick. Huh? The 4X is going on here. I've just confused myself properly. Right, that goes in there. my wish for the future is going to have to be better connections for peripherals.
I love profiteroles.
Profiteroles.
I have that dream that I prefer the other dessert, not the apple pie, but the one with cream donut on top of the profiteroles.
Arnold G says it's a 4th gen PCIe CPU.
Dutch John says no, it doesn't work.
The link doesn't work. Have you posted it in the chat?
Oh, it comes up with some Oakwood ATX PC.
That's definitely not it.
I've not got real daddy bad.
Hey Mike P, how you doing?
Why's that not worked?
Looks like a beefy case. I wish it had a few more internal drive spots, but I do like the position of the case I.O. I do. Yeah, that for me is one of the key considerations with cases these days. Because at the moment, my case, I basically can't use the front I.O. Well, I can do, but I have to stand up on top of a chair. Which, when you get to my age, gets to be a little bit of a precarious thing. Oh, didn't mention as well, loads of bits and pieces in there for building. Get all your bits and pieces, all your accessories, all that kind of stuff. There's also a GPU bracket to help support your graphics card. I don't like it, it's a horrible one. It's the same one that they put in a lot of their cases and it just sucks. So I choose not to talk about it. What have you done? You Wally. Calf's working on the links.
When I get link,
V100, yeah.
I get the link and it goes to this.
So because it's not available? Or not available?
Decide what to send it to.
Right, Calf's working on the links.
I might have to put the wrong one in. It's not an affiliate.
Oh, that's right, it's not the end of the world. Which way round has that got to go? That way round.
Too long to actually go in.
It's too long to go in.
It's too big for the chat box. Won't let you.
That's what she said.
Oh, there, it's okay.
Right, job done. Let's remove.
I've got to log into that Bitly thing. Oh no, I've shut the screen and done that.
On your electrocuted, there's not a game, Mike. Right, so there we go. Actress to the bishop. Your age, says Aletta, you're a kid. I feel like a kid in my head, but I'm very, very aware of my my advancing years. But it is the way it is. There's not really a lot you can do about it, so you just have to grin and bear it and acknowledge it. I don't mind. It's all good. Did I finish that? Yes, I did. Excellent stuff. Oh my goodness, get in there. Okay, so what are people saying in the chat? Viali says to Dutch Jan that would be better with 140mm fans and 140mm AIO on top. Oh yeah, Dutch Jan says, when will the Lian Li Vector V200 be released? The bigger brother. Good question. Like a lot of things with these case manufacturers, they release a case and they see how well it does on the market, and then based on the market demand or customer feedback, that is when they then do other models. Like a typical example of that was Thermaltake with the Tower range. They kind of put that out to see how people feel about it, and then they modified it and then made the ITX version, the micro ATX version, the ATX version, the EATX version, and kind of went crazy. And then they went from the square versions to the hexagonal versions. So yeah, that was kind of nuts. With the series system, they started off with the series 500 first of all, then they went to the series 300. They got the feedback on those, and then went for the series 330. Then they went to the series 350 MX, and the poor old series 500 has kind of been left out on its own. And I wish they would redo the series 500 because it's a really good case. I love that case.
Can they search for Lian Li V100 and it should come up?
Mm.
It does come up for us, but every time I copy the link,
Okay.
I've just put it in.
So yeah, if you go to Amazon and type in Lian Li V100R,
See, it comes up there, right?
it should come up, but for some reason we can't post the links for it for
You
some
click
bizarre
on it, it
reason.
comes up to this thing.
So yeah, there's something gone wrong our end, so we will try and rectify that.
It's Amazon's end. Because I've sent it to you on Discord and it comes up with Lian Li V100. Like.
Yeah, it must be something to do with the location, I think, at the moment, or because it's new. We'll see.
But if you put in V100,
Lian Li V100, and it'll come up.
Should come up.
Life begins at 70, says Susan Robbins. If you get that far. Rasher says, I felt sorry for the hypnotist I saw last night. He hypnotised 7 guys, then dropped the mic on the floor and yelled, F me. What happened next will haunt me for the rest of my life. I just got that.
What? I don't get it.
He was hypnotising 7 guys, then he dropped the mic on his foot and shouted, F me.
I got it.
What happened next will haunt me for the rest of my life. Good stuff. Right.
I was thinking of a medium, not a hypnotist. It could be worse.
I see ring sting in the morning. Right. Okay. Well, I think if there's no last minute questions, I think that is pretty much it for tonight's stream. I'm actually pleased myself that I actually managed to make it through under the duress of the heat. It's still 24 degrees here,
But
and it is 11 p.m. at 24 degrees.
But it usually is, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah, it's quite hot.
With the window shut.
Yeah, it's normally about 22 to 24 in here, so this is about right. Excellent stuff. So, while we're wrapping things up, don't forget you've got premium CD keys for all your Windows keys, and they now get more discount. So if you use the discount code Mike's Unboxing, you now get 10% off, which I know isn't a lot, but it's still better than nothing. Also,
But then they're very cheap.
there's a link. Yeah, they are the cheapest keys that I've found. They really are. Also a link to our Discord, so if you want to join us and chat to other like-minded individuals and lunatics on Discord, you're more than welcome to. Hit up that link. Also, if you want to help support the channel and get yourself a nice mouse or desk pad, I should say, not a mouse pad. Well, they do mouse pads as well, so if you want something smaller, they do, and you can do them all personalised, so don't have to have Mike's Unboxing on it. You can have a picture of your favourite holiday destination. You can have a picture of, I don't know, your favourite pop star, football team, your spouse, whatever, your school photo if you want to. Any bizarre enough, you can do that. So hit them up.
The more bizarre, the better. Send pictures on our Discord.
Most importantly, the last link in the chat, if it actually does come up, which I don't know why there's such a lag on it tonight. It's bizarre. There is our Rumble link. So please, if you can, if you want to, head over to Rumble and drop us a like or a follow. Doesn't cost you anything, same as YouTube. All you need to do is just sign in, create yourself a Rumble account. You never know, you might find some other content on there you enjoy. If for some reason YouTube doesn't like us anymore and we are unable to fill your screens, head over to Rumble and the chances are we will be over there doing potentially live streams as well, but we'll see what happens. Dutch is already...
At the moment, as a bonus, you
Yeah.
can get the new content.
That's it, yeah, exactly. At the moment, as a special bonus to new followers, you'll be getting all of our content very soon, very quick. So literally from the moment I upload it, it goes live. So if you want the content as fast as physically possible, literally, like if I finish editing the video on Friday, I upload it on Friday, it's live on Friday. Whereas everybody else
Maybe a day later.
normally waits 2 weeks, I think it is. Two and a bit weeks sometimes for content. So if you want the content really soon, or you're just on YouTube and you're thinking, oh God, there's nothing to watch, head over to Rumble and you've got at least 10 videos which haven't been released. There's also some old stuff as well, but there's going to be 10 fresh new videos for you to watch. So if you're bored, you've got your Sunday, too hot outside, whatever, you're more than welcome to do that.
But they are mingled in. Oh,
Daddy Longlegs.
Hello.
Hello. I said that.
Mingled in.
I just said that.
You didn't.
I did.
You said there's fresh new ones. But
There's fresh new ones and there's old content mingled in as well. So we're uploading old content and the new content
but they are mingled in.
all together. So they're mingled in.
They're not going to be like the last 5 we've put on are new ones or anything.
Alexa said I just created an account on Rumble. I might even upload something. Well, if you do, let me know, or let me know what your account is, and share it on here next week. And Charles has just put his in there. His link on Rumble. So if you want to follow him on Rumble, you're more than welcome to. So yeah, I think that's it. Massive shout out to everybody who's joined us for this stream tonight. I know it's been super hot and I'm just super sweaty, but we got there in the end. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If, as always, you want to see more content like this on a daily basis and you're not already, which I find hard to believe, but if you haven't, click on the subscribe button, and also don't forget to click on the chime button and also the all notifications. That way, hopefully, you might at least see 1 or 2 notifications in your feed. But I think that's going to wrap this one up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks all for your super chats, your contributions, your kindness, and your ongoing support. We massively appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Have a great weekend, and that's it for now. Bye.